All right. All right. Yeah. Good morning, Gal Suburban. I love you so much, Gal. I just want you to know that. I just called to say I love you. Hi, Easily. I just called to say how much I care. uh, happy, what is it? Wait, what is it? Hi, Neil. Good morning, friends. What is it? Thursday? Thursday. 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 Good day. Good morning, starshine. Oh, here we go. Let's do it, girl. Let's do it. Plug it. Plug it. Plug it. Plug it in. Plug it in. Yeah. Hello. Let's see. Let's put it. Wait, where'd I go? No, stop it. Hi, Neil. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I've got other things. Oh, no, no, no. That's fine. Let's go out of the gate. Hot. Hot cha cha cha. Got a little Clitta Mitchell. That's right. A little Clitta Mitchell. Yeah, 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 yeah. Clitta Mitchell. My. Karen, how are you? Karen. Karen. Hey, Karen. All right, let's see what we got here. What do we got? What fuckery has Gal brought us this morning? What tomfoolery? What nonsensicals has Miss Gal brought to us this morning? And our attention will be way. Wait, where? What? I don't know how. I don't know how to type. Clitta Mitchell. Little Clitta Mitchell. I remember when she was just a baby. Little Clitta Mitchell. That's right. She was just a baby. She was just a baby. And when she was a baby. Hi, Jim. They're tearing RFK Jr. a new one. Are they already? It doesn't start until 26 minutes from now. Jim, are you in the future? Are you with GP? Are you in the future? Oh my God, Heather Honey, are you fucking this? I'm gonna jump off a cliff. It's official. I'm gonna jump off a cliff. What the fuck? Cleta Mitchell isn't the only person who thinks Trump is going to. Cleta Mitchell isn't just the person who thinks. She is the person. You missed a few weird, awful things. Damn it. Damn it. Damn it. Heather Honey will help oversee election security at the DHS pro bono. Oh, fucking fuck. Well, so much for the God, for the kindergarten stuff I had for us. Hold on. Let me oh, that's not hey, I don't democracy dino whatever you guys are. Stop. You close no. You can't get rid of it. I love this. I love that. Good job, Democracy Docket, you fucker fucks. I love how Southern names really sound Southern when you say them. Cleta. Cleta Mitchell. They started 26 minutes ago outside. Oh, okay, that's fine. Whatevs. Yeah, that's fine. I don't give a shit about that. That just means that's just like, I'm really important and I'm going to tell everybody how much I really hate RFK. I'm going to stand out here in front of this microphone and I'm going to do that. You know, it's like, okay, whatevs. Whatevs. Wait, the House of Representatives is in session? Wow. Hold on. Let me just see if I can find the outside one. Also, the Coalition of the Willing, which I think is poetic, but I don't need poetry when it comes to war. The Coalition of the Willing is also meeting over in Paris. Ooh, ooh la la. Ooh la la. Baguette. Oh, here we go. Oh, the doctors. Okay, hold on.
To rubber stamp his dangerous, unscientific,
Well, they're all wearing their little
ideologically
coats. That's
driven
adorable.
agenda.
Hold on, let me show you.
4 senior CDC leaders resigned in protest, and he replaced them with individuals who push conspiracy theories and unproven treatments. That is not reform. It is the
outside,
very
what Jim was talking about. Thanks, Jim
he
Nalgren.
falsely accused CDC scientists
and then we're
of
going to read
perpetrating.
what Gal. Oh,
9 former CDC directors, Republicans and Democrats,
We've got a
serving
lot this
both
morning.
under Republican and Democratic administrations, have issued a chilling warning that Secretary Kennedy's actions have weakened life-saving programs that protect Americans from cancer, heart disease, infectious disease, and much more. They told us plainly this is unlike anything our nation has ever experienced. And this is unacceptable. The American people deserve a health secretary who understands and uses science to protect families, that puts the public's health above politics. Secretary Kennedy has proven he cannot and will not do that. That is why today I join the Democratic Doctors Caucus and the chorus of health professionals, public servants, community leaders, CDC workers, scientific experts, the bench researchers in demanding his resignation now. And if he will not step down, then Congress and the President must act to remove him. Our nation cannot afford a health secretary who undermines science, dismantles protections, puts lives at risk, our children's lives at risk. And we must restore integrity and trust to the Department of Health and Human Services, because the public's health is not a partisan issue. It is a matter of life and death. Thank you, and now I want to introduce Dr. Kim Schreier.
Good morning. I'm Kim Schreier, Congress's pediatrician. I have seen for decades that
there are children in Congress?
has lied to the American people. He has spread misinformation. He has sowed doubts about vaccine safety and efficacy, and he has scared parents. And I want to be really clear that his theories are baseless.
Good morning, meowing star.
And fringe,
how are you,
and
dear?
that he cannot be trusted for 1 second. For months, RFK Jr. has let his reckless conspiracy theories guide our public health policy, eroding public trust and endangering lives. He's fired experts and replaced them with activists. Day after day, we are seeing evidence that having RFK Jr. as our Secretary of Health and Human Services is making our country a more dangerous place, particularly for children. And as a pediatrician, I cannot overstate how reckless, how irresponsible this peddling of vaccine misinformation is. I want to make it clear, doctor, to patients and parents, that vaccines are safe and effective and essential to protecting our health. Unlike RFK Jr., I've actually treated patients with measles, with pertussis, with meningitis, and
well, that's not fair. He gave people measles.
Terrible diseases. Children suffer. They are life-threatening illnesses, And we should all be grateful that they are rare, thanks to vaccines.
Karen, that's a really
The
good point
longer
about
that
teachers
RFK Jr.
getting a measles
manipulates
booster.
policy at HHS, the more danger he puts all of us in. He's already restricted
Oh,
who's
that's good.
eligible for a COVID
Max,
vaccine.
good morning, Max.
He is taking our choices away. He has reversed evidence-based recommendations that pregnant women get COVID vaccines, putting them and their babies at
Hi,
risk.
Grace Lisa.
And now
Hi,
he's coming after the
Carrie.
entire childhood vaccination schedule. Based on his actions so far and his tight ties and financial interests in the anti-vaccine industry, it will not be long. I do not believe it will be long before we see more outbreaks of measles and pertussis, meningitis, and maybe even polio. Yes, polio could come to the United States of America. And let me just add that Florida's cancellation
No, it won't. It
of
could.
school
It's not
vaccine
could come. It
requirements
will
is
come.
only going to add fuel to this fire.
Hi, Teresa.
These and other
So is the Western Health
vaccine-preventable
Alliance a go?
illnesses
Is that
will
a thing?
once again get a significant foothold in this
Oh,
country,
if I
and
didn't even
every
see you,
one of
hi.
us should be scared. I am so
I
proud
didn't even
to
see you
join
either,
my
Lee. Oh my
Democratic
God, good morning.
doctors and my colleagues
Good morning, good morning.
in standing up for our constituents, standing up for public health, and calling seriously, forcefully, for RFK Jr. to resign immediately before more children get sick or, God forbid, die from diseases that could easily have been prevented. And with that, I'd like to turn this over to my colleague, Dr. Kelly Morrison from Minnesota. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Schreier. Good morning. I'm
Good
Kelly
morning,
Morrison,
Val.
Congresswoman from Minnesota's 3rd District and the first and only pro-choice OBGYN to ever serve in Congress. Thank you. I joined my colleagues this morning in calling for RFK Jr.'s immediate resignation. I stand here again with the members of the Democratic Doctors Caucus 6 months after we voiced our warning about and opposition to his nomination to lead HHS. Our worst fears are now being realized. There needs to be a point in which we all stop and say, this is unequivocally disqualifying. We cannot be complicit in letting political ideologues take over our scientific and public health institutions. We just had the firing of one of the nation's top scientists because she refused to put a political agenda over protecting public health. We've had an exodus of senior agency officials who said they could no
gave the
longer work
cicadas
in
a
RFK
bullhorn?
Jr.'s environment of weaponizing public health for political gain and putting millions of American lives at risk. We have had a complete political takeover of our nation's top health agency. This is the
That's a good
truth
point,
of where we
Lee.
are. What
This
we've been
is
hearing from the federal health
more
officials
problems.
whistleblowing about RFK Jr.'s leadership at HHS is horrifying. We have to listen to what they're telling us. RFK Jr. is literally orchestrating the destruction of public health care in the United States. He is completely undermining globally respected health institutions like CDC. He is taking us from being a leader in the world to at best an absolute mockery and at worst a danger. Vaccines are modern miracles that keep us from dying of preventable diseases. After decades upon decades of dedicated work to create these life-saving miracles, he is dragging us backwards. I'm disturbed by this
God,
administration's
RSBN played a little
indifference to the damage he is causing.
Who said noise
And I am
clip?
beyond disappointed in congressional Republicans who confirmed him and continue to enable his destruction of public health in the United States.
An audio clip
If nothing
of him this
changes,
morning.
I worry the CDC won't survive this, and irreparable harm will have been done to public health in our country. So we must be clear-eyed about the danger we are in, and we all need to speak out. This is not a partisan issue. This is about the health of the American people. I call on all members of Congress to be patriots and stand up for the health and safety and well-being of the American people. Thank you very much, and I turn it over to my colleague from New Jersey, Dr. Herb Conaway.
Who are all these
Good morning,
people?
everyone.
I didn't know we had
My
this
name
many
is Dr.
doctors.
Herb Conaway. I represent New Jersey's 3rd Congressional District.
Oh,
I've come
Max.
To the Congress,
Nine states have
practicing
banded together to
internist
create the
and
Northeast
actually an
Public
officer,
Health Collaboration.
working,
Oh, that
for
actually is
public
really
health in the
smart.
county, where I
That's
reside.
really smart.
And I understand fully
Clayburg!
well, as a public
Sam
health
is
officer,
Clayburg.
how important it is for a functional CDC to review the science, and transmit that data down to the state and down to the county where I worked, so that we might advise people on how to protect their health, advise them about
I love it. Let's
emerging
do it.
infections diseases
Health
coming from
alliances
overseas,
across the
what they ought to
country
do
to
with
get
respect to COVID,
coordination.
responding,
Let's do the
to
work
measles outbreaks.
ourselves.
We rely on the CDC for important information on doing that. Now, coming before the Congress, I also served in the state legislature for 26 years.
Oh, no, Jane, are you okay?
I served as the chairman of the health committee, and I've had to deal with these anti-science, anti-vax types, many of whom are driven by a financial desire as they promote wild conspiracy theories disproven over and over again, as, for example, that vaccines cause autism, disproven over and over again, and yet they continue to spout that lie, saying that additives in vaccines cause autism and other problems, also disputed over and over again. And recently, we, as a group, joined understanding what RFK Jr. did. I have firsthand knowledge of this because he worked in my state, trying to get us to walk away from science and to abandon vaccines. He's now brought it here. Now he's got a
sorry,
record.
Jane.
And
Hang
I
in
am
there.
sorry that the senators in the United States Congress did not follow the advice of many, including certainly our doctors caucus, when we raised the alarm about what he is going to do if he becomes the head of the most important health apparatus
Really?
in
I
the
think she's a
world.
terrible actress.
CDC, our colleagues who are working in Medicare and Medicaid. We have seen the disaster that he's wrought, and we warned the Congress about it, and sadly, they refused to listen to his own history of
Get an
lying
organ grinder
and spreading
monkey to
misinformation that is
perform as well as
directly,
she does.
harmful to the health
But
of
I'm
many
not bitter
citizens
or anything.
right straight across this country, and indeed will impact people worldwide. I hope when they bring him before the Senate today that they will remember that he lied to them when he said he would not remove the FDA's Vaccine Advisory Committee members. And then when he gets into office, what does he do? He fires every single one of them and puts on that committee known vaccine skeptics who again, are interested
crazy
in stoking
people. Robert Malone
misinformation
is a
so that
crazy
they can go to
person.
the courts so they can make money giving speeches and putting money into their own pocket, and they're willing to sacrifice the health of so many in order to do it. Now, we've already seen him ignore a measles outbreak across several states in the West. 1,408 people have died when I checked this morning, contracted measles. When I checked this morning, 3 people have died. And what did he do? What did he fail to do? He failed, as any expert would tell you, get in there, get people vaccinated, arrest and stop the progression of measles virus. He did nothing. And the virus
he wants people to die. I mean, he wants it to like herd
skeptics
immunity,
fail to
which is
tell
dumb
you,
because there's
as
not
they
enough of a
advise you to
herd.
take vitamin A and do other things that won't help. That there are many, that 1 in 1,000 children who contract the measles virus will end up having a subacute encephalitis that could cause long-term cognitive disabilities and other issues related to their health. This is a serious condition. So they don't want the protection.
I think I'm going to transition now
the
from
measles
these
vaccine to
wonderful
prevent children
physicians.
from getting measles in the first place, leading to more.
All right, sir. Because I want to read, first of all, a couple things before we start the actual RFK Jr. Yeah, it's eugenics. You're right. You're right. I mean, it really is. I don't. They don't want as many people around. Okay, it's resources. It's resource allocation. Yeah, Neil, you're correct too. Whatever Democrat states do, Trump and his gang will deride it or misrepresent it. States got to do the right thing anyway, which is true, and of course they will. In most respects, I feel a little more fortunate living in California than in some of other states. So, but I think the notion of coming together and protecting each other in ways of whether it's sharing information, whether it's sharing resources, whether it's, supporting statewide or region-wide plans to come together. Like talking to your doctor about your concerns about it. There's a lot of things that we can not be powerless on. But it's definitely an uphill battle. Didn't I see that Stephen Miller had said the optimal U.S. population should be 100 million? I feel like I did see that once, Max, a long time. I just don't know if it was him or what is the case. But let's talk about Clitta Mitchell. Thank you to Gal for sharing all the good news this morning, as she is wont to do. But this is from Democracy Docket from yesterday. I think it's yesterday. And there's Clitta. Look at her. Look at those jowls. Look at those baby jowls over there. Those jowls are cousins. Okay? I'm just going to say. With all that money and all that just, whatever. All that money, she could get a facelift. It wouldn't be hard. They have them. They have them where she is. All right, anyway. I mean, I'm not saying she should, but I'm also just a fan of plastic surgery, so I don't really care. I don't think it's an insult. I think it's a suggestion. Okay. Here we go. Clitta Mitchell, chairman of the Election Integrity Network. That's right, the EIN. Speaks during a news conference at the House steps to introduce a Safeguard American Voter what? Safeguard American Voter Eligibility, the SAVE Act. That's right. What is this from? Oh, yeah, it is from. Clitta Mitchell thinks President Trump should declare a national emergency to allow him to take control of national elections. No. You're kidding. Really? Her comments will add to growing concern that Trump is plotting a way to use his power over the military and federal law enforcement to rig next year's vote. No. Really? The president's authority is limited in his role in regard to elections, except where there is a threat to the national sovereignty of the United States, as I think we can establish with the porous system that we have. Okay, wait a minute. Whoa, stop. Full stop. What? Clitta, have you been paying attention, Clitta? Because there have been zero. I mean statistically impossible number of zero crossings. Illegal or whatever. In the last 7 months. Well, the 7 months where he solved 7 wars. Those ones. So Clitta, I understand that you think it's porous, but it's not anymore. There's a new sheriff in town. And if you haven't seen her, she wears head to toe denim. And she's got Amazon hair extensions. And there's no shame in Amazon hair extensions. I have some myself. Oh my God, Patrick Byrne is still alive? What? That's the worst news. If everything's an emergency, then nothing is an emergency. That's right, Max. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. All right, here we go. I'm sorry. Every time I see it's a quote from her, I have to speak like this. I'm sorry. Said Mitchell, a prominent anti-voting lawyer who played a key role in Trump's failed bid to overturn Trump's attempt to steal the 2020 election. I'm not going to say bid to overturn. No. I'm going to say his attempt to steal the 2020 election. In an appearance on a podcast hosted by the Christian conservative leader Tony Perkins, also head of the something. What the fuck is he the head of? Tony Perkins? God, I can't keep these guys straight. I really can't. I cannot keep these guys straight. What's Tony Perkins? Focus on the family? Fart on the family? Fuck your family? What is he? Family Research Council. I knew there was a family being fucked somewhere in there. Okay. Then I think maybe, just maybe, the president is thinking that he will exercise some emergency powers to protect the federal elections going forward. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. It isn't clear whether Mitchell's comments were based on knowledge of Dump's thinking or whether she was speculating on what she believes Trump has the power to do. No, I don't know. Well, let's read on. Maybe we'll learn. In the SAVE Act, as it's written, will also disenfranchise. Yes, no, the SAVE Act is terrible, okay? The SAVE Act is Meemaw is going to show up to vote, all right? Your bitchy MAGA Meemaw is going to show up to vote, and they're going to tell her, hey, Meemaw, you don't have your birth certificate, so go fuck yourself. And then Meemaw is going to get all kinds of upset about it. Yeah, I can see this one coming. Oh boy. Okay, let's see. Here we go. Though Mitchell has no official role in the Trump administration. Oh, but she does. She is well connected in Dump World. Her anti-voting group, the Election Integrity Network, received a briefing in June. What? From a senior official in the Department of Homeland Security on how a database run by the department can be used to verify the citizenship status of registered voters. Democracy Docket reported, and she was on the December 2020 phone call, yes, of course, in which Trump pressed the Georgia's Secretary of State to, quote, find him enough votes to win the state. Okay, let's see. Yeah, sure. Just one more than we need. That's all. Her comments about taking control of elections come amid increasing concern that Dump could try to use the National Guard or law enforcement agencies to obstruct voting in Democratic strongholds in coming elections. I would think what looks legal? What looks legal? And just assume they're going to do what looks legal, and it's not going to be legal. It's going to be way overstepping. Okay, that's what I'm assuming. It's going to be intimidation and how this manifests. I don't know. I'm just thinking of the last 10 years and how we how do I want to say this? We formulate in our heads how something's going to play out in the real world, and then it comes to pass and we see how it plays out in the real world, and then you compare those two things, and I think we have to learn from that. Like, we have to learn, when it comes to implementation, what do we know about how this administration implements things? It feels like they say something and then people spin out of control responding to what they say, and then they actually execute, and it's in parts as bad or worse or not as bad as right? It's this mix. I think we should learn from how they implement. I don't know if that makes sense, but anyway. Oh. Here we go. Wait. I missed something. Okay, there is a bright side. I read a medical study yesterday that said that the fat loss injection medicines increase. Oh my God, Jim. I can't with you. She organized or funded Leonard Leo Heritage J6 buses. Oh, I'm going to tell you, her and Ginny Thomas, big friends. We know all about Cleta Mitchell. Oh, hell to the fucking yeah. Oh, here we go. In the Greg clip, I hypothesized the plan. No federal involvement in local voting looks legal. Yep. The article came out yesterday. I recorded with Greg Monday. Oh, is there a recording with Greg? Wait, you're on his... Gal Suburban is Greg Oliar's most frequent podcast guest. Did you know that? That's a little fun fact for you. Gal, I want to hear it. I want us to play it. I need to find... Is it out yet? I'm so sorry. You recorded with him. Has he put that out yet? They probably just appear longer because of a smaller fupa. Max is coming in with the physics. Okay. We got to get through this because we have a shit show to watch. In the interview with Perkins, Mitchell also said Trump has the power to issue an executive order requiring voter ID because some states require it. I do think that the fact that about half the states do require some form of identification, I think that they would give authority to the president to say to vote in a federal election it has to meet these standards. Mitchell's comments come after Trump has in recent weeks teased plans to sign new anti-voting executive orders aimed at banning mail-in ballots and requiring voter ID. Whatever. Presidential orders taking these steps would be blatantly unconstitutional, and Trump's previous anti-voting executive order, which includes a documentary proof of citizenship requirement, has been largely blocked by the courts. Hello? Mitchell also told Perkins that Trump could sign an executive order targeting voters living abroad, like deployed military and overseas citizens. I think that there are some areas in which the president can issue an executive order under existing law, Mitchell said. One would be the overseas people who vote, deployed military and overseas citizens. The president has authority to appoint a designate to enforce that, and all of those are federal ballots. Wait a minute. So you're going to make people who live abroad and who are in our military vote in person? Wait, how do they do that if they live abroad? I don't get it. I don't understand. Yes, he did an 850th Substack Live for 4 hours. I was there around the 2 hour, 20-minute mark, I think. Lots of good people and conversations. Oh, wow, I missed that. That's cool. God, I really should not be depressed. Pretty sure they don't think any women should have the right to vote. Yep. Didn't Pig's Breath tweet a pastor arguing that? Yes, he did. Yes, he did, Meowing Star. That was a really good special podcast by Greg Olear. Oh, you already provide proof of identity when you register. Exactly. Mail ballots or paper. I just can't. I can't with this. These people. Okay, let me check on our... well, there you go. Talk about timing. Wait, where are you? What did I do with... Oh, here it is. This is it. I'm sorry. Hold on just a minute. Hold on just a minute. Oh my God. Stop. RFK, you're the biggest fucking idiot. You and your skinny ties. Your skinny tie, man. The clip is only a 20... Oh, really? I want to play it. Make the out-of-country voters fly home. If they can afford it, they can't. Yeah. I don't even understand this. Right. I'm sorry. I think everyone should be able to vote online, so I guess I'm the wrong person. Oh, thank you, Gal. I didn't know you were on that. La la. Oh, wait. I'm on the wrong screen, aren't I? Okay. Oh, Gal Suburban. Look at you. God, I love you so much. Wait, here we go.
Every time Zelensky... I had not considered that, like, oh, I'm at war, I can't be replaced. But of course he would think that, because he mentions it every time Zelensky shows up.
Right. It's like, oh, you can't have elections?
Yeah.
I'd love to not have elections.
Yeah. I think they're going to just, if they send out all the National Guard and stuff, they can just arrest people before the election. I think that, just take, if you can't have mail-in ballots, if that's no longer an option, all they have to do is put people in jail for 24 hours and they can do whatever they want. That's the easiest thing to do. So,
well, I still say, look back at, the pieces that Jim and I wrote about Executive Order 13848, because a lot of that plan required people in places at the National Guard, in the DOD, in the State Department, in USAID, which now they've dismantled. And then you have people like Cleta Mitchell and Harmeet Dillon in the DOJ and in civil rights and elections. These were all the people that were involved in the plan to use the National Guard to rerun the elections in the swing states when they originally wanted to try and do that. So I just see them as improving upon that original plan with power and position, right? So they now have people in position who are willing to execute those types of authoritarian maneuvers to oppress voting in certain areas or whatever they may determine,
Oh boy.
Yeah. So
that's brilliant. Gal, I love when you do these things. I need to, you and I need to I want to do more stuff with you, but I know you're busy. That's the only thing. I'm a terrible person on planning other people's time. I know I need to get better on that. I know I need to just say, hey, Cal, want to do an interview? Let's do an interview this day. I'm terrible at that. I don't know what it is. I mean, I think it's part of my whatever. But anyway, my point is that you're brilliant, and thank you for sharing that. And I love you. I'm so proud you're my friend. I really am. I want to see some of that. I'm going to have to go back to Greg's. Greg does such good work. We'll work it out. I'm playing on a women's softball team and start. Oh my God. Gal, see? Oh my God. Bad. You're a badass mama. She's a bad mama jamma. I can't remember the words of that song. She's a bad mama. I can't remember the words.
This hearing will
Anyway,
come to
good luck
order.
tonight.
Today we meet to hear from U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. about President Trump's 2026 health care agenda. Mr. Secretary, thank you for being here. While I expect a spirited debate today, I would remind my colleagues that each senator is limited to
What is
5
with the
minutes.
skinny
and we're going
tie?
to try to keep that as tight as we can today. There's 27 of us, and we all probably are going to want to have our opportunity.
Nice.
At the end of the 5-minute time frame, I will gently tap the gavel if it appears that things are starting to lapse over, and encourage my colleagues and
Just
our
as
witness
fine as she
to
can
conclude
be.
their
Thank
remarks
you.
at the conclusion
He's
of this
a bad
time.
mama jamma.
President Trump and Secretary Kennedy have made a steadfast commitment to make America healthy again. Under this administration, HHS has placed patients at the center of the healthcare system, empowering them with the tools and information they need to create a healthier future. We know that chronic diseases such as heart disease and cancer and diabetes are some of the leading causes of death in America. Now the department has a renewed focus on tackling the root causes of chronic disease and promoting prevention first. I look forward to exploring ways that the federal government can further align payment incentives to support healthy living and fight chronic disease. The administration has also prioritized efforts to end waste, fraud, and abuse in our federal health care programs, including through eligibility and enrollment verification. This critical work is not just about saving taxpayer dollars.
Neil says
it's about restoring
Patcher
trust
or
and
Field
ensuring
General.
vital programs like Medicare and Medicaid are sustainable for generations to come. In July, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services,
Meowing
CMS,
Star, you're right.
announced that the agency identified 2.8 million
This
Americans
it feels like RFK Jr.'s pet project. Everyone pay attention to me.
Or Affordable Care Act exchange plans. Stopping this duplicate enrollment while working with states to ensure that individuals do not inappropriately lose coverage.
When I played competitively, I was center field and third base. Not sure
annually.
But I'll play on this team. It's a military-based women's team. How fun!
With additional immigration information to verify eligibility for federal health care programs. Preserving lifelines like Medicaid for those who are legally entitled under the law will ensure long-term sustainability. Congress has the One Big Beautiful Bill. This bill enacts common sense reforms to reduce improper payments and brings needed personal accountability to the Medicaid program. These reforms will protect Medicaid and refocus the program on the most vulnerable patients, those whom the program was intended to serve. The OBBA also created the Rural Health Transformation Program, the single largest investment in rural health care in decades, to help stabilize and modernize the rural health delivery system throughout our country. These accomplishments reflect a vision for a healthcare system that is proactive, efficient, and patient-centered. While many of the issues discussed today may be partisan in nature, this committee has a deep history of bipartisan healthcare accomplishments. I remain committed to partnering with this administration and Ranking Member Wyden to enact policies that realign incentives in the prescription drug supply chain, expand access to telehealth, and ensure long-term stability in our physician payment system.
Would you say he's full of crapo?
Mr. Secretary, I look forward to hearing from you today about the administration's efforts to make America healthy again and how we can continue to work together to achieve this shared goal.
When were we healthy?
Thank you very much. Senator Wyden.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As the committee gathers today,
What, the Black Plague
the
days?
United
What are
States
you
is
talking
in
about?
the midst of a health care calamity,
We're
the
in full
largest cuts to American health care in the history of our nation.
crap overlord.
And they are approaching like an avalanche. Last week, most of the senior leadership at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention were fired or they resigned after refusing to bow to Robert Kennedy's unceasing crusade against
1929.
vaccines. I traveled across Oregon last
Ask the
month.
tulip
message was
brokers.
the same from one end of the state to the other. Families are confused. They're scared about who to trust about their health care. Robert Kennedy and Donald Trump have done so much to feed that mistrust. This morning, my staff in partnership
Oh, he has a
Senator
nice
Alsop's
tan.
team is releasing a
Where's he
report that
spending
shows
his
the
time? In the
disaster
tanning booth?
of Robert Kennedy's 203 days in office. Every single day, there's been an action that endangers the health and wellness
As
American
HHS working from
families.
lawn chairs?
Robert Kennedy has elevated conspiracy theorists, crackpots, and grifters to make life or death decisions about the health care of the American people. Robert Kennedy's tenure is so far
Who's
marked
Squeaky
by
Fromm
three
sitting behind
calling
him?
cards. One is chaos. At federal health
Remember
agencies,
the
leaving families,
1929
doctors, and the
crash
entire
was
nation
started with tulips or
confused
something? I don't
and
know.
frightened.
I'm
Corruption
probably making
that
shit up.
benefits Robert Kennedy, Donald Trump, and their
Grilled
friends at
chicken?
the expense of taxpayers, and higher health costs for families.
Swimming in sewage
I
will
ask
do that.
unanimous consent, Mr. Chairman, to enter this report into the record.
Without objection.
Testicle tanning
Then
booth.
there's chaos. It's been obvious from the start that Robert Kennedy's
guys are too
primary
much.
interest is to take vaccines away from
First
Americans.
thing
During his
he did was
confirmation
replace the
process,
lights
he
in the
claimed to be
secretary's
pro-safety and pro-science, but his actions reveal a
The
steadfast
tulip crisis,
commitment to elevating
whatever.
junk science and fringe conspiracies. His agenda has not been about choices and information for families. Just last week, he threatened
Look at
doctors
the
and
Manson
deviated
family
from the
behind
new
him. Come on now.
anti-science vaccine guidelines he released that make it harder for pregnant women and children to get the COVID vaccine. And then there's corruption. Robert Kennedy's bizarre statements and actions beg the question, why? Democrats on this
No, let's
committee
talk
answered
about
that
not his
question
bizarre
months ago.
statements, his actual
Robert Kennedy
actions. Okay?
can enrich himself and his allies. His family still stands to gain from class action lawsuits against vaccine makers. Now, Robert Kennedy fired every member, every single one of the group responsible for making vaccine recommendations to doctors across the country under the false pretense of conflicts of interest. Meanwhile, many of the new members of the panel are outright vaccine deniers who've appeared as paid witnesses in lawsuits against vaccine makers. Their conflicts of interest and ethics disclosures remain hidden under lock and key. On top of all this bedlam in American healthcare,
thank you for
just 2
the
months ago,
tulip
Donald Trump
reference
signed
in
into law
Discord.
the
Oof.
largest health care cuts in American history
Oh,
to pay
grits
for
bowl.
tax
I love
breaks
grits so
for the
much.
wealthiest people and massive corporations in our country. Republicans know these cuts are going to hit communities like a wrecking ball. That's why they push the most severe cuts until after the election. That's why their members already introduced bills to roll back some of the cuts. Make no mistake, though, those cuts are being felt right now. We're seeing hospitals in Idaho cutting payments, hospitals and nursing homes. Providence Seaside Hospital in Oregon announced they're shutting down their labor and delivery unit. Every family is going to feel the burden of Trump care in America.
Oh my God, I
Premiums are
love
gonna
that
spike
woman.
next year, especially for those who buy health insurance
That
on their
woman who
own.
was in
The
Alice
effects will be
as
felt
a
by those who
waitress.
get insurance also
A good
through
show.
an employer. Congress has an opportunity
It's
to extend the
okay. It's
Affordable
all right,
Care
Meowing
Act
Star.
tax
You don't.
credits
You
to lower
put
the
words
cost of
together
premiums.
beautifully.
Democrats are
Flo,
ready
that's right.
to
Her
pass
name
an
was
extension that
Flo.
stops
She
a
had red
dramatic
hair.
premium spike that would force many families to pay double what
Really
they do
like that
today.
character.
Instead of finding ways to help American families pay less for health care,
Yeah, vaccine's
Robert Kennedy
bad.
is
Steroids
focused on his
good.
anti-vaccine
right.
mission,
Yeah.
fueled by some kind of complex that the consequences be damned.
I don't even know what Wyden has said. I'm sorry. Ron Wyden, I love you,
Point
but
I have to underline is Robert Kennedy
I
puts
need
children
some
in harm's
move
way
on.
every single day in America. To my Republican colleagues,
Look at
I
him
must
not
ask,
sitting up.
what line must
Look
Robert
at how
Kennedy
he
cross
sits.
before some of you will also join this alarm?
Danny
This
Booth is
weekend, under the cover
terrific.
of darkness, Robert Kennedy attempted to disappear
Everyone should look
hundreds
healthier.
of children under his care at Office of Refugee Resettlement facilities. These children here
I
without
guess
parents
so.
or family were rounded up in the middle of the night and put
Look,
on
he
planes
sounds a
to
little
Guatemala.
RFK this
Lawyers
morning.
on the ground described unthinkable scenes. Our staff,
I
some
agree.
who are here today,
I think of them
were
as
party
two
to this in the
completely
middle of
different
the night,
things.
and
You know what I
one
mean?
child said to their lawyer, "Why do they want to send me back? My mom
I love
is
that fucking
dead,
movie. That
and my
movie was
dad
so good,
abuses me.
Max.
Why do they want to hurt me?" This was an actual conversation. These actions were illegal. Documents show that many of these children were in the country to escape trafficking in their homeland. Mr. Kennedy calls himself a
That's
protector
right.
of children.
It is from all directions.
Some kind of rich claiming from somebody who's flown on Jeffrey Epstein's private jet
Oh,
on
fuck.
multiple occasions. I don't think Robert Kennedy should
12?
be within a million miles of this job.
12?
Republicans on the committee had a chance to prevent the public health train wreck that Mr. Kennedy has engineered.
Oh, yeah, he's gonna lose his
Everyone
shit, Jim.
voted for him. It is in the country's best interest.
Look at him sitting
that
there
Robert
like
Kennedy
a fucking
step down,
schlump.
And if he doesn't, Donald Trump should fire him before more people are hurt.
Yes,
by his
Scott, that's a
reckless
better way of
disregard
putting
for
it.
science
Body
and
language
truth.
of RFK
I also
reflects
would like
his
to note
disdain.
Senator Cantwell has joined us in this effort. I hope, at the very least,
True, Neil.
Robert
Same
Kennedy
with
has the
MASH.
decency to
Testicle
tell the
looks
truth this
pissed.
morning. Mr. President, excuse me, Mr. Chairman, I have a procedural request I'd like to make at this time. It's a short one.
I want to walk up there and slap this
Proceed.
guy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, it's unfortunate that I have to say this.
Oh my God, Alice doesn't live
This
here
is a
anymore,
witness
right?
who
Or
has
something like that.
lied to members of the Senate Finance Committee. In response to over 35 written questions, including from me, he said, and I quote, that he would do nothing as HHS Secretary that makes it
Oh my God, so
difficult
good.
or discourages people from taking
Fucking Chris
vaccines.
Christopherson? We gotta
That
watch this
was
movie.
clearly not true. His unprecedented unilateral actions to restrict access to COVID vaccines, that alone proves it. He tried to fire the Senate-approved CDC director after she chose the truth over what I consider his delusions. His prepared testimony even today includes the debunked lie that 500,000 children disappeared under the Biden administration's watch, a lie that the Trump administration is using as a pretext to hunt immigrant children and their families. So, my request, Mr. Chairman, and I think it is unfortunate that I have to do this, but given the unprecedented nature of the witness's behavior, I would ask now that the committee formally swear in Robert Kennedy as a witness.
Fuck yeah.
Senator Wyden, I will personally object and will reject your request. We will treat this witness as we treat all of the other administration witnesses who come before us. And let me just say again, as I said in my opening remarks, we will have some partisan disagreements today. We're having partisan disagreements right now, and I am having partisan disagreements with you on your characterization of the facts.
Why?
The bottom line is we will let the
Which one's
Secretary
wrong?
make his own case in his opening statement.
I'll only say,
So you're not going to require him to tell the truth.
this
Okay.
committee's
Thank you, Chairman.
unwillingness to swear this witness is basically a message that it is acceptable to lie to the Senate
He's
Finance
just
Committee
asking
about
them to swear him
hugely
in.
important questions like vaccines. I think it's a great mistake, and that's why I've made the request. I understand that you're not going to grant it.
Okay, I just want to say one thing before we keep going. This is the same Robert F. Kennedy Jr. with whom it has been proven. It has been proven, let me say that again, it has been proven that he had AI fabricate studies to support policy changes that he was pushing. He has no ethics. He is unqualified. He is a danger to the lives of children. So just putting that out there before we move on.
We can move on.
We'll get to the bottom of your accusations, but at this point, I'm going to turn to our
Really?
witness, the Secretary of Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And Mr. Kennedy, Mr. Secretary, you may make your opening statement at this time.
Thank you, Chairman Crapo, and thank you, Ranking Member Wyden, for the invitation to appear before the committee today. Before I summarize what we've accomplished this year at HHS, I want to express my deepest condolence to the family of DeKalb County Police Officer David Rose, who gave his life to stop the gunfire attack on the CDC on August 8th. Officer Rose was a
You're
veteran.
saying that now?
He was a husband and the father of 2 children. Officer Rose's widow, whom I visited, is expecting their 3rd child. I'd like Officer Rose's family to know that he remains in our prayers and that he will continue to be in our thoughts. Let me start with the big picture. Under President Trump's leadership, we at HHS are enacting a once-in-a-generation shift from a sick care system to a true healthcare system
No,
that
it's not.
tackles the root causes of chronic
Where?
disease.
Root cause? What root cause?
Proportions in our country. And finally, we have an administration that
food
is
coloring?
taking action. The Maha report assessment, which the White House
Oh,
released
wait,
in May,
there's
was
not
the
even
first
any
government
changes to food
analysis of the
quality.
key
I get it.
drivers of childhood chronic disease. Ultra-processed foods, chemical exposures, physical inactivity, and over-medicalization. This month, we will follow with the Maha report strategy, the Trump administration's solution for addressing each cause. At HHS, we haven't just been writing reports. We have been the busiest, most proactive administration in HHS history. In just half a year, we've taken on food dyes, baby formula contamination,
Taking them on?
grass loophole, fluoride in our drinking water, gas station heroin, electronic cigarettes, drug prices, prior authorization, information blocking.
Fuck yeah.
The committee will come to order.
God bless her.
I apologize to you for that outburst, Secretary Kennedy. I would notify everyone else in the audience. Comments from the
What does Crapo think?
Inappropriate.
Does he watch that movie? What's that movie that you recommended when we were talking about Nazis? What was it?
As I was saying, prior authorization, information blocking, and healthcare interoperability. We're ending gain-of-function research, child mutilation.
I know,
and
his
reducing
security guys are
animal testing.
intimidating.
We are addressing cell phone
They
use in
stand up
schools,
immediately.
excessive
Conspiracy.
screen time
That's the
for
one.
youth,
I know it's not the same
lack of
topic, but
nutrition education in our medical
he
schools,
gives me those vibes.
sickle cell anemia, hepatitis C, the East Palestine chemical
Like he's just
spill,
having
and
fun,
many,
like,
many
you know,
others.
experimenting on
At
children.
FDA, we are now on track to approve more drugs this year than at any
Wait,
time
I thought
in
you
history.
hated drugs.
I'm also proud to
I'm
say that
confused.
HHS under President Trump is doing more with less. We have taken measures to fight waste, fraud, and abuse.
Oh my God.
Just by eliminating
No one's going to
duplicative
ask for an audit of
enrollments
that. No one.
CMS,
No one's
we
going to
are
ask for an
saving
audit
taxpayers
of the fraud,
$14
waste, and
billion
abuse.
a year.
No one.
Meanwhile,
We
are
just have to
expanding
take their word
access
for it?
people who need it.
Really?
We are ending racist diversity, equity, and inclusion practices and instead focusing on aiding low-income and vulnerable
Why is that bitch
families,
smiling behind him?
regardless of their race, which was the
How
original
embarrassing.
intent of
This is
Title X.
embarrassing.
We're also pouring $1 billion into Head Start and the Administration for Children and Families. Compassion need not be the casualty of efficiency. I'd like to highlight some issues that have not gotten media attention. First, we are
Oh,
doing
that guy
our
with the
part
stickers
to
on
build
his
the
back?
president's
He's about to
commitment
yell.
To stop human trafficking, especially of children. We inherited a terrible humanitarian crisis from the previous administration.
I guess she
with its
does. Little
open border
Ava Brown
policies,
energy there.
which allowed the
Silicon
appalling loss of
Valley.
476,000
I just watched this YouTube video about
children.
realistic robots.
We have implemented policies now to ensure that appalling tragedy can
She
never
does
happen
give the
again.
vibe.
We
She
have
looks like a
knocked
sex
on
robot. Sorry, I don't mean to say
82,000
she's a sex
doors
robot,
and
but I mean she
located
just looks like one.
22,000
I'm sorry,
of
I
those
just watched the
children.
show. I can
promise
show you the
that we
show.
will do more
She looks just
in
like
the
them.
next 3 years.
It
We are
blinked.
also addressing the disastrous health conditions in tribal
It
communities.
need not
on
be the
Native American
casualty, but it will
reservations.
be.
I've met face to face
And
with
efficiency is
tribal leaders
to
in
be
dozens
defined.
of communities and
Oh,
tribes in
realistic
Alaska,
robots can't walk
Arizona,
downhill very
Idaho,
well.
New
They
Mexico, and
They
elsewhere.
skipped over that part in this
And I
video.
look forward to making HHS resources more available to those communities. One of the most significant initiatives
Wait, you just
under
cut
President Trump
local
is the
pub.
Rural
Whatever.
Health Transformation Fund, part of the president's big, beautiful bill, which will provide the greatest investment of federal money into rural health care in history. Finally, I would like to address the recent shakeups at CDC. These changes were absolutely necessary adjustments to restore the agency to its role as the world's gold standard public health agency with the central mission of protecting Americans from infectious
Why does our
disease.
HHS secretary need
CDC
two
failed
big
that
security guards?
responsibility miserably during
Why?
COVID, when its disastrous and nonsensical policies destroyed small businesses, violated civil liberties, closed our schools, caused generational damage in doing so, massed infants with no science,
No, he
and
didn't
heightened
get that.
economic inequality. And yet all those oppressive and unscientific
Oh no, I hope not,
interventions
Karen.
failed to do anything about the disease itself. America is home to 4.2% of the world's population, yet we had nearly 20%
let alone
of
the
COVID
whalehead.
deaths. We literally did worse than any country in the world. And the people at CDC who oversaw that process, who put masks on our children, who closed our schools, are the people who will be leaving.
What?
And that's why we need bold, competent,
Oh my
creative
God,
new leadership at
incompetence.
CDC. People able and willing to chart a new course. As my
I need
father
more
once
civil
said, progress is
disobedience,
a nice
okay?
word, but change is its motivator, and
Yeah,
change
stop.
has its enemies. That's why we need new blood at CDC. That's also why it's
He is a
imperative
monster. He's a
that
fucking.
we remove officials
He's like a
with conflicts
Walmart
of interest
Mangala.
and catastrophically bad judgment and political agendas. We need
Although, as Oomph will
unbiased,
remind me,
politics-free,
Mangala was an actual doctor.
transparent, evidence-based science in the public interest. Those are the guiding principles behind the changes at the CDC, and that is what you can expect all across our agency for the
What's
next
the difference
3 years.
between Mangala and what's the difference between Mangala and Kennedy? A medical degree.
Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary. I'll begin with the questioning.
That's not
And
funny.
One of the first things I'd like to talk to you about is actually something that is under the auspices of CMS, and I spoke with Dr. Oz last night about
Then
this.
why are
I'm
you
sure you're
asking
very familiar
him?
with it, though.
Okay.
And that is that in the One Big Beautiful Bill, there's a lot of attacks right now going on publicly about hospitals are in trouble. And the blame for that is placed on the bill, even though the bill hasn't even been implemented yet.
I think you're making
fact is
something
this
up.
committee
I think Crapo
held
is bringing
hearings
back an
on the
argument
troubles
around the
that
time of the
rural
vote.
hospitals are
You
facing
fucking
in the
cuck.
United States before the passage of the One Big Beautiful Bill. They've been facing difficulties in rural America for a number of years now.
Oh, so this
And
is going to
the
help?
bill,
Crapo.
the One Big Beautiful Bill contained a rural health transformation program, which I would just like to ask you to comment on.
Oh, they're
This
going to
is
be
the program
transformed,
which
all right.
allocated $50 billion over the next 5 years to
Okay,
our
10
rural
billion a year.
community hospitals in the United States.
How much was
help
going
them
to be
deal
given
with
to
some of the
rural
financial
community
crises
hospitals?
that they are facing and transition to more stability.
I think it's
Could you
about
comment
the,
on
well, it's supposed to
that
be about
program
the
that is
health
in the One
plan.
Big Beautiful Bill?
Yeah, Senator, one of President Trump's campaign promises and one of the principal preoccupations, not only of Republican senators when I did my confirmation hearing, but also almost equally among Democratic
Is that one of his
senators, is
children?
crisis in rural health.
She's
We've had
really bothering
120
me.
rural hospitals closed over
I think
the
I need
past
to
10
do something
years.
about
These
it.
institutions are not just delivering health access to rural Americans, but they are economic centers, they are cultural centers for those communities. They are often the largest employer. They are the highest paying jobs, and they are the centerpiece for those communities. So when they die, the communities collapse. And President Trump promised to do something about that, and he has delivered on that promise. Right now, we spend about 6% of Medicaid funding is sent to rural hospitals, a very, very tiny slice, and that's one of the reasons they're in trouble. President Trump has now allocated through the One Big Beautiful Bill $50 billion, so $10 billion a year over the next 5 years. What we give to rural hospitals, that 6% represents $19 billion a year. So we're increasing that by $10 billion.
Wait, what?
So we're infusing more than 50% increase in the amount of money that is going to rural communities over the next 5 years. There's never been anything like that in history. It is the biggest investment, and it should stem this hemorrhage.
Well,
really?
I appreciate
Then why?
you're giving clarity to that, because
I want some specifics.
Frustrating to see these continuous allegations that the difficulties that our rural hospitals are facing all were created in the last few months when we passed a bill, when we've been holding hearings in this committee about these problems. And
what is the
bill
breathing?
that we passed, we gave a $50 billion boost to, as you indicated, increase by 50% the federal support for our community rural hospitals in the United States. And I think that the hospital owners understand that. They recognize this support. In fact, they are coming they're coming together very carefully with Dr. Oz to work on the rollout of this program so that we can see this boost and this support that is coming. Just another one of the disagreements we have about what really was in the One Big Beautiful Bill. So I appreciate you commenting on that. In the last minute and 10 seconds that I have with you, could you just quickly talk once again about the broad issue of making America healthy again in terms of our aim to change the healthcare system's focus from a reactive symptom management model to one that focuses on lifestyle choices and the root causes of chronic disease?
Yes, Senator, this morning, I got the latest numbers from CDC that 76.4% of Americans now have a chronic disease. This is stunning.
What?
When my uncle was president, it was 11%.
Is it really, Gene?
1950, it was 3%. Today, it's 76.4%. 8 out of 10 of our kids cannot qualify for military service. This is a national security issue. When my uncle was president, we spent $0 on chronic disease.
There, I fixed it.
Today, we spend $1.3 trillion. It's the biggest cause. It's increasing. And all of the arguments that Republicans and Democrats have about single payer, Obamacare, or the various ways to allocate the health dollars, they're all like rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. If we don't end this chronic disease, we are the sickest country in the world. That's why we have to fire people at CDC. They did not do their job. This was their job to keep us healthy.
Thank you.
And I need to fire some of those people to make sure this doesn't happen again.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. I have to cut myself off to make sure I keep to this time frame too. Senator White.
Oh my God, put your fucking mic on mute.
Made it clear, I think that Secretary Kennedy is dead set on making it harder for children to get vaccines and that kids are going to die because of it.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like
How
to
about
put
that?
in the record today an op-ed written by Susan Monarez, who was fired by Mr. Kennedy.
Without objection.
So what we know, and Dr. Monarez, was approved by Republicans. She wrote an op-ed today in the Wall
Jim,
Street Journal,
interesting.
which I've just put in the record.
Connecticut has 3 rural hospitals. Kansas has 90. Under the BBB, they get the both. They both get the same amount of money.
A vaccine advisory panel newly filled with people who have publicly expressed anti-vaccine rhetoric. So this is not some liberal philosopher or something. This is the CDC director who tells the Wall Street Journal, which is not exactly interested in progressive, theories and the like, that she was told to pre-approve the recommendations of a vaccine advisory panel filled with people who've publicly expressed anti-vaccine rhetoric. So my first question, Mr. Secretary, is did you in fact do what Director Monarez said you did, which is tell her to just go along with vaccine recommendations even if she didn't think such recommendations aligned with scientific evidence? That is
no, I did not.
That's a yes or no. So you have an opportunity to call her a liar if you say that you didn't do it, but I'd like to see you respond to this.
No, I did not say that to her. And I never had a private meeting with her. So there are witnesses to every meeting that we have, and all of those witnesses will say, I never said that.
So she's lying today to the American people in the Wall Street Journal?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's talk now about what's coming up, because I've made it clear what I've thought about the 203 days with my colleague, Senator Also Brooks. In 2 weeks, CDC's Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices will meet to make decisions about critical vaccines that protect us against hepatitis B, measles, and more. The committee's got a profound impact on vaccine access, but these aren't ordinary meetings. You've stacked the deck to ensure the panel bends to your views. In June, you fired all 17 committee members who are respected scientists and doctors. You replaced them with non-experts, vaccine skeptics, and conspiracy theorists. As a result, this critical advisory panel has lost scientific credibility. After years, colleagues, we spend so much time not looking at this as Democrats and Republicans, but as good science and scientific credibility. And now the American Academy of Pediatrics has warned that the committee is being politicized at the expense of children's health.
I am the witnesses
American
of them not
Academy
meeting.
of Pediatrics, you think they're lying too?
I think the American Academy of Pediatrics is gravely conflicted. They get their biggest contributors are the 4 largest vaccine makers. They run a journal, Pediatrics, which they make a lot of money on, that is completely dependent on pharmaceutical companies. So I wouldn't put a big stake in what they say that benefits pharmaceutical interests. Senator, I didn't politicize ACIP. I depoliticized it. The Congress has been investigating ACIP.
All over the country, Mr. Secretary, scientists and doctors are saying otherwise. They're all wrong, too. They're all lying, according to you.
The scientists and doctors are supporting me all over the country. There is division on opinion.
I don't
Which
get
ones?
letters from thousands of people who are not political saying that this set of changes is going to damage American healthcare, and particularly these healthcare agencies, for decades to come. I don't get any letters from people saying, hey, this is going to make a big difference forever.
Maybe you're listening to a selective group of people.
Well, you get me.
And I will.
Fine.
I will tell you what, Senator. I will put my mailbag.
They'll be generated by.
Any day of the week.
They'll be generated by
Dangerous
AI.
respiratory viruses like RSV are on the agenda for the next advisory meeting. Countless parents have been awakened in the dead of night by a wheezing kid gasping for air, forced to rush their little one to the ER. There's no worse heart-wrenching fear. The RSV vaccine offers these kids protection against the worst effects of the virus. But now it looks like you're on a crusade to make infants and babies more vulnerable to the terrible illness. That's what we're doing with the COVID changes.
And please make your answer brief, Mr. Secretary.
I've said that
the position is indefensible. I think it's possible.
Congress has been investigating that committee for 23 years because it is pervaded with conflicts of interest. What we did is we got rid of the conflicts of interest. We depoliticized it and put great scientists on it.
Yes,
a very
they are from him.
Group, let me close with very pro-vaccine.
Let me close with this because, like Senator Crapo, I'm a few seconds over. I don't think, Mr. Secretary, this is about you and me. This is about kids being pushed in harm's way by reckless and repeated decisions to get scientists and doctors out of the way and allow conspiracy theories to dictate this country's health policy. I don't see any evidence that you have any regrets about anything you've done or plans to change it. And my last comment is, I hope that you will tell the American people How many preventable child deaths are an acceptable sacrifice for enacting an agenda that I think is fundamentally cruel?
I'll put my mail back against your mail back any day of the week.
Senator, you've sat in that chair for how long? 20, 25 years, while the chronic disease in our children went up to 76%. And you said nothing. You never asked the question why it's happening. Why is this happening? Today, for the first time in 20 years,
how dare you?
We
How
learned
fucking
that
dare
infant
you?
mortality has increased in our country. It's not because I came in here. It's because of what happened during the Biden administration that we're going to end.
I'm going to let Senator Wyden respond briefly to that, and then we're not going to go over like we just did.
Defend this committee on a bipartisan basis. Colleagues, my cabinet secretary says that we have no interest in chronic care. Mr. Secretary,
Mr. Chairman, could we have regular order, please?
We are in the process of turning around the Medicare program with the chronic care bill that Chairman Hatch, when he was chairman in this committee, put together on a bipartisan basis.
All right, we're going to proceed. And I just want the rest of the members to know, I gave Senator Wyden as ranking member some leeway there, but we're going to stick to the 5 minutes. Senator Grassley.
First of all, thank you. I have asked HH secretaries to fully utilize.
Oh, we might be jumping ahead in time.
In
Oops.
January, the USDA
he's still talking.
and EPA ought to be regulating farming, and that the Department of Health and Human Services should not seek to
Giorgio
regulate
Armani,
farms for
dead
tools
at
they use or
91.
the
Wow,
markets,
I did not realize
that
he
they
was
sell
that old.
into.
Yes, Senator, we are working very, very closely with Brooke Rollins and with the agricultural community. We've met with over 140 farm interests over the past 3 months to incorporate them to make sure that the MAHA agenda is consistent with their agenda. We are producing the best food in America, that we're protecting our soils and our soil microbiome, and that we're protecting all kinds of farmers, including those who want to transition to regenerative agriculture. We're consulting every stakeholder in the farm community in everything that we do.
I just raised the question because farmers in my state have been concerned about some of the things you're saying.
Senator, I can't hear you.
I'm sorry. Some of the farmers in my state have been raising questions about some of the things that they think you said, whether it was out of context or not. I just thought I'd raise this question so that you would keep by what you told us back in January at your confirmation hearing. Now, Senator Durbin and I have a bipartisan bill that requires price disclosures on TV ads. Price transparency is important in drug advertisement. I know that President Trump, Vice President Vance, and you are all supportive of this effort. When can I expect action from this administration on requiring drug companies to publish the price of drugs in their TV ads? And just in case you would tell me that you don't think you have that authority, can you help Senator Durbin and I on our bill so that we can ensure that you have legal authority to require price disclosure?
Senator, I think it would be good for us to talk about this offline. We are working on this in our agency, and I'm happy to give you the details of what we're doing.
Okay.
But not in public?
We
Hi, peace, love.
Here on transplant. Senator Kennedy and I have been.
Brooke Rollins is an idiot.
Senator,
I
Senator
know.
Wyden
Happy
and I
long
have been
life,
working on
mamas to Karen.
For nearly 2 decades, I've engaged in a bipartisan oversight of the organ transplant system. RISA has developed a tool to combat transplant line skipping. I hope that you can take steps to make sure that these steps are being taken by HHS and ERISA to curb transplant line skipping. On July the 2nd, Senator Wyden and I wrote you a letter highlighting cases of OPOs in Mississippi and Kentucky. In each of these cases, OPO allegedly tried to harvest organs from patients still showing signs of life. I expect you to take steps from through these organizations to ensure that this doesn't happen again.
Wait, what?
We have mounted a major investigation of misconduct, of illegal behavior, of organ harvesting, of living people, of line skipping, of favoritism, of all kinds of scandalous behavior inside the organ procurement organizations. We have already ended the contract, terminated the contract to the sole source provider. We are reorganizing the entire industry so that this can never happen again. I'm happy to go into the details with you if I had more time.
Thank you. Senator Cornyn.
Mr. Secretary, the United States spends approximately 18% of our GDP on health care, and yet by most accounts, we rank roughly 10th in the world in terms of a health care outcome.
Well, I'll tell you what, this open mic thing is not helping the world think that we're any healthier.
You're necessarily going to improve those outcomes. But at the same time, we have the two major drivers of our national debt,
yes,
Social Security and Medicare, while we spend more money on interest on the national debt than we do on defense of the nation, which is an unsustainable trajectory. What is it that you're doing to address the effectiveness and the outcomes of our healthcare expenditures as opposed to just throwing more money at the problem?
Yeah, I mean, throwing money at the problem does not work. We spend 2 to 3 times per capita what European nations spend on health care, and we have the worst health outcomes. We're 79th in health outcomes globally. Over the past 20 years, we've lost, or 30 years, we've lost 6 years to Europe in terms of longevity. So our lifespan was even with Europe's, now at 6 years behind. As I remarked to Chairman Wyden this morning, or Minority Leader Biden, today we got new data that showed that infant mortality has increased in this country in 2024 for the first time in 20 years. Diabetes has gone up 98% in 20 years.
Land of the lost.
Nobody's
That's
doing
right.
anything about it.
Thank you, Lee.
CDC's job was to make sure that this didn't happen. And what we're going to do is reorganize CDC, but also we've already righted the ship at NIH, at FDA, at CMS. And we are going to end the chronic disease epidemic. We are devoting thousands of studies. We're going to devote to identifying the causes, and we're eliminating them. And we're already starting. We're not waiting for everything to come in. We are starting now. We're doing this with food dyes.
We're not waiting for the actual information. We're going to go ahead and just
better health
do
to the
shit.
American public because it's chronic disease that is bankrupting us and destroying our national security.
Agreed, Mowing Star. That's a good call
It
out.
seems to me one of the biggest problems that we have in America today is the trustworthiness of the information that we actually receive from the news media and from any other source. And obviously the easiest
No,
thing
babe.
for a Democratic
No, Corny
colleagues to do is to
Cornyn.
scare
No, Corny
people,
Cornyn. That's not true.
because that is a
You
powerful emotion.
think it's
no matter
beneficial
what
to make
the,
people not trust information.
facts may be.
But now, granted, with this guy, you're right.
believe
Because he's already proven to you that he uses AI to create information that doesn't exist. That's also called lying.
We were
I
lied
don't know.
to about
That's
everything.
lying.
We were lied to about natural immunity. We were lied to about, we were told again and again the vaccines would prevent transmission, they'd prevent infection. It wasn't true. They knew it from the start. It wasn't true because
I never thought that they would prevent transmission, that they would prevent disease.
There was science behind cloth
So
masks.
you're dumb, RFK Jr. You're a fucking idiot.
The CDC allowed the teachers union to write the order closing our schools, which hurt working people all over the country, and then pretend it was science-based. all of these issues, and then I can show you, like, for example, Chairman Wyden was talking about me politicizing ACIP. During COVID, probably the most famous scientist on ACIP was Martin Kulldorff from Harvard, the great, world-renowned epidemiologist and vaccinologist. And he criticized the COVID booster mandates. They ejected him from COVID because he wasn't in the orthodoxy. The two biggest health officials at FDA during COVID, Dr. Gruber and Dr. Krause, criticized the Biden mandates, vaccine mandates. You know, President Biden said in August, I would never take that vaccine, the Trump vaccine. And he came in, he mandated it, and then he fired the two top health officials at FDA who said, hey, this thing has not been properly tested. So the whole process was politicized, and even today.
So let me, in 15 seconds, so I think you answered yes. It was politicized. And I have concerns that when you look at some of the conflicts of interest in peer-reviewed articles in professional journals, and when you point out that even some of the physician associations are conflicted because of the money they get from the pharmaceutical industry, are you committed to trying to make sure that we use the best science and
right, Lucy's mommy? My fucking God.
That is what my job is. That's
between
what
the
my
breathing
is,
and the leathery skin.
The
I'm questioning his health.
Senator Bennett.
Where is he spending all his time that he has such a good tan?
Mr. Secretary, Mr. Secretary, may I have my time back, Mr. Chairman? Thank you. Mr. Secretary, thank you for your attention. In June, you fired every member of the well-qualified panel that was charged with recommending vaccines to the CDC. No one in your job has ever fired every committee member all at once. That month, you told the American people that you were, quote, going to bring great people onto the ACIP panel, not anti-vaxxers. Are you aware that one of the people you put on the panel, Dr. Robert Malone, claimed that the commonly used mRNA vaccine, quote, causes a form of AIDS and can damage children's, quote, brains, their heart, their immune system, and their ability to have children in the future? Yes or no, Mr. Kennedy?
And Dr. Malone is one of the inventors.
Yes or no? Yes or no? Were you aware that he had that view when you appointed him to this panel?
Dr. Malone is one of the inventors. As I said, Dr. Malone is one of the inventors.
You can't fucking.
So he knows a lot more about
Don't let it, Bennett. Don't let him do it.
That statement is not true that Dr. Malone made, just as it wasn't true when you wrote that, quote, African AIDS is entirely different from Western AIDS. Are you aware that another one of these new members, Dr. Levy, wrote that, quote, evidence is mounting and indisputable that mRNA vaccines cause serious harm, including death, especially among young people? Yes or no? Are you aware that he said that?
I wasn't aware he said it, but I think I agree with it.
You agree with it? It's not true. It wasn't true when he said it, and it's not true when you said it. Secretary Kennedy, later this month, your new panel will meet to consider changing vaccine recommendations for American children. In addition to the COVID-19 vaccines, they are set to review recommendations for the hepatitis B vaccine, for measles, for mumps, for rubella and varicella vaccine, and the RSV vaccine. These are common back-to-school vaccinations for children all over the industrialized world. If you change that, you owe parents in Colorado and across the country the benefit of some transparency, I think. If your panel recommends changing the vaccine schedule for children, do you anticipate that fewer children will receive these common vaccinations, yes or no?
What I would say, Senator,
the obvious answer is yes. Should parents and schools of Colorado be prepared for more measles outbreaks as a result of that, Mr. Secretary?
Senator,
how about more mumps outbreaks.
I do not anticipate a change in the MMR vaccine. ACIP is an independent panel. So
well, it's a panel you just put those folks on. Far from what you said, they're people with ideas that are completely outside the mainstream.
You mean out of the pharmaceutical paradigm?
Let me just say, Mr. Secretary,
The low growl is just so
that
much.
we're talking about today are free and accessible to parents today in America who have the freedom to be able to make that choice for their children. Will that be true after your handpicked panel makes their judgments about these vaccines?
I think that parents should be free to...
I know you said that before. I do too.
To make their own choices.
So will they be just as free after these?
I assume they will be.
I will hold you to that, Secretary Kennedy, because this is not a podcast. It is the American people's health that's on the line here. This is the last thing, by the way, our parents need when their kids are going back to school, is to have the kind of confusion and expense and scarcity that you're creating as a result of your ideology. I think it's critical for you to share the evidence that this panel will rely on. Will you give the American people 6 months or 6 weeks in advance the record that they're going to rely on to make these decisions? Will you make it transparent for the American people?
All the evidence is transparent.
Will you make it in advance transparent for the American people so they can comment on it?
All the evidence is transparent for the first time in history, and you were never there complaining when the pharmaceutical companies were picking those people and running their products through with no safety testing.
You can characterize it any way you want. I quoted them today. What I said was accurate. What you said were lies. You described people moving the Titanic.
Are you saying that the mRNA vaccine has never been associated with
stop
myocarditis or
it.
pericarditis?
That's a stupid argument. Stupid idiot.
Is that what you're trying to tell us?
I am simply trying to say that the people that you have put on that panel, after firing the entire...
You're evading the question.
No, I'm asking the questions here,
You're
Mr.
evading
Kennedy.
that question.
I'm asking the questions,
I
Mr.
asked
Kennedy.
you a question.
I'm asking the questions for Mr. Kennedy on behalf of parents and schools and teachers all over the United States of America who deserve so much better than your leadership. That's what this conversation is about, Mr. Chairman.
Senator, they deserve the truth, and that's what we're going to give them for the first time in the history of that agency.
Senator Cassidy.
Thank you.
That's
I'll try
fucking
and restore
gross.
A little calm here. And I'm approaching this as a doctor, not as a senator. I am concerned about children's health, seniors' health, all of our health. And I applaud you for joining the president in a call for radical transparency. Thank you for that. I said yesterday, I believe it, that President Trump deserves a Nobel Prize for Operation Warp Speed. If he had been President Obama, he would have gotten it. But because of Operation Warp Speed, forcing the federal government to come to a vaccine development within 10 months when others said it couldn't be done, we saved millions of lives globally, trillions of dollars, we reopened economies, an incredible accomplishment. Mr. Secretary, do you agree with me that the president deserves a Nobel Prize for Operation Warp Speed?
Yeah, absolutely, Senator.
Are you kidding?
Let me ask you, but you just told Senator Bennett that the COVID vaccine killed more people than COVID.
Wait,
that was a statement.
I did not say that.
Okay, then let me ask, because you also were
Senator, I just want to make clear, I did not say that.
We'll check the record. That's a question of fact. You also said that you were also, as lead attorney for the Children's Health Defense, you engaged in multiple lawsuits attempting to restrict access to the COVID vaccine. Again, it surprises me that you think so highly of Operation Warp Speed when, as an attorney, you attempted to restrict access. Now, let me ask.
I'm happy to explain why.
I have 3 minutes and 30 seconds left.
All right.
It also surprises me because you've canceled, or HHS did, but apparently under your direction, $500 million in contracts using the mRNA vaccine platform that was critical to Operation Warp Speed. Again, an accomplishment that I think President Trump should get a Nobel Prize for. You canceled $500 million in contracts. Now, I grew up in a middle-class family, so $500 million seems, just to cancel, it seems like an incredible waste of money. But it also seems like a commentary upon what the president was attempting, what the president did in Operation Warp Speed, which is to create a platform by which to create vaccines. So this just seems inconsistent that you would agree with me the president deserves a tremendous amount of credit for this.
Is this a question, Senator Cassidy, or is this a speech that you don't want me to answer? Because I want to answer that question.
Please,
if it's a question.
But be tight, please.
First of all, the reason that Operation Warp Speed was genius is it did something nobody had ever been done. I don't think any president but President Trump could do it. It got the vaccine to market that was perfectly matched to the virus at that time when it was badly needed, because there was low natural immunity and there were people getting very badly injured by COVID. And then, but it was also brought in therapeutics like hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin and protocols for treatments. And and there were no mandates. And then,
No, Roger, don't be
so
careful.
please, about
that's when I began litigating against President Biden's mandates. Now,
I'm sorry, let me go on because
in terms
you've
of
covered
me
the mandates
canceling
before.
those contracts,
I have limited time, Mr. Secretary. I'm sorry. You've called for, and rightly so, that we should restrict participation in agencies for those with conflict of interest. I would like to submit for the record a evaluation of the conflict of interest of those who are on the ACIP and the Vaccines and Related Biologic Products Advisory Board. It was not 97% as alleged, rather it was 6.9%, and it was 1.2%, I think, for the other panel.
Without objection.
Now, I am concerned, though, because many of those whom you have nominated for the ACIP board,
Senator,
excuse me, can I have my time back?
Yes.
Yeah. What I am concerned about is that many of those whom you've nominated for ACIP have received revenue as serving as expert witnesses for plaintiffs' attorneys suing vaccine makers. Now, one of my colleagues in another setting alleged that you seem more interested in settlements than science. If we put people who are paid witnesses for people suing vaccines.
Oops, Cassidy did his homework today.
Real quickly, do you agree with that?
no, I don't. It may be a bias.
Well, he's mad.
And that bias, if disclosed,
No
is
worries,
okay.
Lee. Take care of yourself.
But it's not a financial,
bias.
it's not a financial conflict of interest. It's not a financial conflict of interest.
Let me finish up. You also told Senator Wyden at the outset that you didn't want to take vaccines away from people. And as I conclude, I would like to say this. Because of the conflicting recommendations made about COVID, this is from Eric Erickson, good conservative out of Atlanta, Georgia, occasionally gives me hell. My wife has stage 4 lung cancer. She is one of the people the COVID vaccine actually helps. Thanks to the current mess at HHS, CVS is unable to get her vaccine. Secondly, an email from a physician friend of mine. Hey, Bill, I'm not even sure what I'm asking you, but we're all confused and concerned about who can get the COVID vaccine. We are having our attorney try and render an opinion, but there's no firm guidance and concern about liability if vaccines are given to a patient who requests it, but not on the current CDC list. Pharmacists are requiring a prescription now even for patients over 65, creating a huge headache. I submit these for the record.
Without objection.
I would say effectively we're denying people vaccine.
Senator Cantwell.
You're wrong.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Following up on that same line as Senator Cassidy, because that's exactly, I represent one of the most science-based states in the country. That is percentage of scientists per capita. And at your confirmation hearing, we asked about this.
I realize that we are suffering
made a
because
statement here today in your
he is
testimony
impossible
that you
to
would
listen
follow
to, but I
science,
think
and
this
yet
is
you're not
actually
following
really
science,
good
and that's what Senator
for the
Cassidy's
nation
question was.
to hear.
It's a simple yes
and
or
make
no
fun
answer.
of.
Do you think the president deserves to get a prize for warp speed in the mRNA technology that saved so many lives? And you won't answer that question.
I answered it.
Can't get my mind
No,
off
you're
your
saying that there are
mailbag.
problems with what was interpreted. You could say yes. You used to say
I
yes
said
right
the
now.
president also deserves a Nobel Prize, but our mRNA vaccines that we're working on, the ones that we canceled, which are for upper respiratory infections alone,
You
are those?
canceled $500 million of research because the mRNA technology is about continuing the research to be ready for the next flu, influenza, the next pandemic, and you have to do the research.
I'm happy to have a detailed discussion with you about it. You're so wrong on your facts.
You're interrupting me, and sir, you're a charlatan. That's what you are. You're the ones who conflate chronic disease with the need for vaccines. The history on vaccines is very clear. This is the 20th century. That's how many people had vaccines and had illnesses. This is the 21st century. This is the decrease, 99% down to 100%. This is what was delivered with vaccines, and you don't want to support that. You don't want to support that evidence. So yes, the governors of the West, Washington, Oregon, and California, will take up the efficacy of science. Yes, the University of Washington will deliver the science that America will depend on, because you don't want to depend on it. And his own Surgeon General of the Trump administration said over 2 million lives were saved because of the mRNA technology, and you don't want to continue that. You don't want to continue that technology. So what country is going to now take up that technology lead? What country is going to do that? Leaving us more vulnerable to some other country, keeping the advantage on having the best technology. So I'm telling you, I represent a state that's about technology. I have two other quick questions for you.
These questions or statements? Because I can answer that question if it's actually a question.
Do you believe in having the ACA and the support for the ACA that is about to expire? Do you believe in doing something about that?
In terms of the enhanced premium tax credits?
Yes.
Well, the Democrats had two chances to make them permanent, and they didn't. And they didn't for a reason.
We're the ones who delivered it. So I'm just asking yes or no, do you want to do something about this? Yes or no?
I want to fix the system, and that's what we're doing, fixing systematically to make premiums lower. That's what President Trump wants to do.
Do you think the women on the steps of the Capitol were a hoax yesterday?
I don't know about any women on the steps of the Capitol.
The women who were talking
Oh,
about
you're not
Epstein,
paying attention?
Do you think they were a hoax
You don't listen to women?
Do I think they were
Do you think they were perpetrating a hoax yesterday?
perpetuating a hoax?
Yeah.
I have no idea what they were saying. This is the first time hearing about it.
You're hearing about the women on the Capitol steps saying that they believe that the Epstein information should be made public. That's the first you're hearing about it. What I'm saying is you are perpetrating hoaxes. You, as this Secretary of Health, so you're undermining the whole healthcare delivery system, and you keep trying to point to chronic disease. But you're not putting solutions on the table to cover more Americans, and you're taking away the science and technology that has made us the leader that has saved, according to the first Trump administration Surgeon General, millions of lives, and you don't want to keep that going. So no, I don't support your continued efforts as Secretary, and I definitely think that our colleagues need to rally around science. If you want the Northwest to continue to lead on all innovation and all healthy people, okay, we'll do that. But it's a sad statement for the rest of America and America's leadership on technology. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Senator Warner.
Mr. Secretary, I agree with a lot of my colleagues' statement. I actually had hoped, I didn't support you. I thought taking on chronic illnesses was going to be important. I've got 2 kids, as we discussed when you met, that have chronic illnesses. I'm not sure that the focus on red dye and seed oils are going to fully solve that problem.
Of course they won't.
I would say this, that seems where your emphasis is. I want to go back to just, again, some basic facts. Do you accept the fact that 1 million Americans died from COVID?
I don't know how many died.
You're the Secretary of Health and Human Services. You don't have any idea how many Americans died from COVID?
I don't think anybody knows that because the There was so much data chaos coming out of CDC, and there was
No, there wasn't. No, there wasn't. No, there wasn't. That's right, Grace Lisa. You're so
COVID. This is the
welcome.
Secretary of
I
Health
couldn't
and Human
do this
Services.
without you
Do you
all.
think the vaccine did anything to prevent additional deaths?
Again, I would like to see the data and talk about the data.
You have had this job for 8 months, and you don't know the data about whether the vaccine saved
and
lives?
that's the problem, is that they didn't have the data. The data by the Biden administration absolutely dismal.
What? Okay, that sounds like a feeling. That sounds like a feeling.
Politicize all the data. Go back to what Senator Camp
That sounds like a
said.
feeling.
Go to the Trump Surgeon General.
They fired Dr. Graf. They fired all the people who questioned the orthodoxy. They fired Dr. Gruber, Dr. Kraus.
So, Mr. Chairman, the Secretary of Health and Human Services doesn't know how many Americans died from COVID. Doesn't know if the vaccine helped
I'm sorry,
prevent
it's not funny.
any deaths.
It's not funny.
And you are sitting as Secretary of Health
I
and
just
Human
am
Services? How can you be
shocked.
that ignorant? Like, you know, I remember when we went through the hearing with you, I asked you about community health centers. You didn't know what role they play. I've been visiting community. I'm glad you got to one. I think in April. I tell you what I hear on community health centers, they are terrified, with all due respect to my good friend, the chairman, of the big awful bill, because they are going to lose health care across the board. They already live in food deserts. They can't get to a nutritionist because Medicaid doesn't do enough reimbursement. If you're going to want Americans to get healthier, should they have access to nutritionists? Should they have access to good science about healthy food?
Absolutely.
Well, then how is that going to happen with the Medicaid cuts that are taking place?
There are no cuts to Medicaid.
Sir, that is an absurd. There is not a single, some of my Republican colleagues, but there is not a single study that does not, and I can tell you, I was in Franklin, Virginia a couple days ago. The rural hospital is going to close. The hospital system was so afraid they wouldn't even let me have the meeting there. But that rural hospital is going to close. And they are looking for where those folks are going to go. I mean, you're supposed to be doing health care policy, not being the doctor in residence for all of America.
Yes, you can't have soda anymore if you have SNAP.
Rather than your health advice.
That's what it is. We'll
And
tell you what
obviously,
you're
Tom
going to buy.
Cotton's who knows who he's going to trust. But let me go back to policy for a couple. So maybe we can lower the temperature a little bit. I got a bipartisan bill that would be a systemic fix, not a vote buying mechanism when Medicaid's getting cut, what was put in on the rural hospitals. One of the things we could do, Mr. Secretary, is make sure that the folks who work in rural hospitals get an 80% reimbursement of what folks get in more urban centers. Would you support that legislation?
Are you talking about the area wage index?
I'm talking about the area wage index and moving that up to 80%. So there is actually ability to get rural providers.
President Trump supports that, and we support.
Do you support? You support? Good. So you will work with us to get that passed.
Yes.
That will increase costs on both Medicaid and Medicare, so you are committed to that. I appreciate that. What about Senator Wyden and I've got a bill because across America,
what about what?
Hospitals are shutting down on their OBGYN services. Try to have a baby. I don't know about in all of my other friend states, but in Southside Virginia, you can't find a hospital. Will you work with us to make sure that before OBGYN services are taken out of a rural hospital, there has to be a process and procedure?
I'm happy to work with you on that, Senator, meet with you and see if we can work with you on it. I don't know exactly what the issue is.
Well, again.
What the hell do you know?
The Secretary of Health and Human Services, who has said he doesn't know how many people died from COVID, doesn't know if the vaccine saved lives.
Yeah, I don't believe in regulating anybody's food choices. I don't care. It's none of my fucking business.
And with the cuts that are
It's
coming up,
none of my
it's going to
fucking
be
business.
exponentially worse. I would invite you, sir.
I
to come
don't
with me
care.
to
You
a
could
community health
buy
center in
all
Virginia and hear what is on
donuts,
people's mind.
and
They
I
want to
would
get
not
healthier?
care.
Absolutely.
Good to
Count
see
me
you,
in.
Kim.
But they also don't want their basic health care removed. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Langford.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Secretary, good to see you again. As I traveled around Oklahoma during August, it was great to be able to be home. I had several folks that contacted me. We had some great meetings with some rural hospitals as well. They're looking forward to the $50 billion for the One Big Beautiful Bill that is targeting towards rural hospitals, starting with $10 billion next year. I know you're quickly getting all the instructions out on that. We know that's in process. It was good to be able to visit with them, to be able to talk about that. They're very pleased. Thanks for the work you're doing on that. I also met with some of our groups that do incredible medical research on this. I know the NIH grants were held for a while and being studied. Those have been released, and grateful to be able to see that because there's some amazing medical research is happening, including some longitudinal studies. And they need those dollars released, so I appreciate y'all getting those released out there. I did hear from a lot of our folks, and I want to talk about one of these issues. From a lot of our hospitals, they immediately raised the issue of Medicare Advantage plans and how they're withholding payments, they're delaying payments back to hospitals, and a problem that's been for rural hospitals. I know y'all are working on that as well. We want to work with you on that. But you and I have spoken on the second issue on that, and it's the pharmacy benefit managers. During
has
the
been one of
process, it was interesting when
RFK's
you and I met
pushes
in my
is
office,
to
you
get
said
states
every
to
single senator
and the
brought
big
up
beautiful bill
PBMs
to
you,
limit what
and you
people
made
can
the
buy
statement
with
during
their
the confirmation process. This
assistance.
is an area that President Trump wants to take on, is the pharmacy benefit managers. This is unfinished business in this committee, but I wanted to just know what is HHS doing at this point on the PBM issue in particular to make sure we're not driving out rural pharmacies and what we can do to be able to make sure that's fair.
I mean, it's a priority for the president. He talks to me about it, I would say, at least once a week, sometimes at 11 o'clock at night. And we've met with the PBMs, and we are in talks with them. We're also in MFN talks with the pharmaceutical companies who are also very interested in reducing the cut and getting transparency among the PBMs.
Oh, okay. Here we go. PBMs versus pharma versus the U.S. government.
Protocol that will guarantee transparency. And then the part of the MFN
That's exactly it, Meowing Star. They hate DEI because they won't make it.
So I think we're doing a lot on PBM.
They won't
That'd be
make
very
it.
helpful to be able to see. It'd be very helpful for
Sociofilating.
consumers across the country on this. You and I spoke as
Jay
well.
Rance, how you
And
doing?
you made public statements on this, and the FDA commissioners made public statements on the issue of reviewing the safety issues of mifepristone. Your comments early on were every drug needs to be treated the same, needs to look at the same and not have political biases and how things are actually examined. There were a lot of changes on the allocation of mifepristone for elective abortions under the Biden administration. It's now open to anyone without a prescription on it. You don't have to go through a doctor on it. There's all kinds of issues that are happening now on it. So the question was, you said that there would be a review on that just to be able to look at it, make sure we're following all safety protocols. Do you know a timing on that review?
I can't give you the exact timing. I talked to Marty McCary about it yesterday, and he said it is progressing apace. We're getting data in all the time, new data that we're reviewing. And we know that during the Biden administration, they actually twisted the data to bury one of the safety signals with a very high safety signal, around 11%. So we're going to make sure that that doesn't happen anymore. We're producing honest science and gold standard science on that. I'll keep you abreast of where we are.
Thank you. Just go where the science leads on that. During the Biden administration, the Title X regulation that requires Title X family planning programs recipients to physically and financially separate from abortion activities, their Title X activities, and eliminate them promoting or providing abortion with those funds. That was flipped from the original Trump rule that was done under the first presidency. During your confirmation, you had committed to go back and look at that again and to be able to see. My question is, do you know the timeline for agency action for when that rule on Title X and the separation payments rule will be either reviewed or will actually be reinstated to the original Trump rule under his first presidency?
I don't know if they're I just don't know the answer to your question, whether they're actually reviewing the rule right now. I can tell you that the NGOs that have that issue, that refuse to separate their payments streams and separate their operations are not getting funded.
Okay, well, that was an issue under the law when it first came out to be able to
And
keep
women
those things separate.
and birthing
So look
people
forward to
are
that.
dying.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Senator Hassan.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning, Secretary Kennedy. Just before I ask a question, I did want to note in response to the Secretary's statement that the Trump administration wants to lower the cost of health insurance, that across the country right now, the median increase for commercial insurers that we're seeing this fall is 18%, just as families are struggling to make ends meet. Now, I want to follow up on a line of questioning that Senator Cassidy began. Mr. Secretary, President Trump said that the COVID-19 vaccine produced by Operation Warp Speed was, and these are the President's words, a monumental national achievement. Although I have strongly opposed many of President Trump's actions, I agree with him that Operation Warp Speed in 2020 was a monumental achievement. Unfortunately, you are undermining one of the President's biggest achievements, which, as the President said, saved millions of American lives. You even went as far as to call President Trump weak for this life-saving accomplishment. Last year, you tweeted that President Trump has a weakness for swamp creatures and that Operation Warp Speed was among, here's your quote again, the most devastating impact of President Trump's weakness. So, Mr. Secretary, was Operation Warp Speed a monumental national achievement?
Oh, those pesky words coming back.
For the reason that I already said, and I assume you won't let me repeat, but I'm happy to if you want, yes, it was.
Good. Assuming it is a monumental achievement, you've said it was, is it true that, as President Trump has said, he saved millions of American lives with the COVID-19 vaccine? Because you've just expressed great confusion about that to Senator Warner.
The only confusion I express is exactly how many lives were saved. I don't think anybody knows that because of the data chaos.
So multiple studies have shown that the vaccine reduced infections and severe diseases and saved at least 3 million lives in the United States and millions more abroad in the first 2 years of the pandemic.
It's possible those are modeling studies.
No, I will also note, just as you've been talking about data and your concern about it, the process for COVID vaccine approval was public, it was live streamed, and it was out in the open. Manufacturers and experts have publicly submitted data analysis, and when the FDA has asked for more, they've submitted more. They've done that for years, and the evidence is clear and supports what President Trump has said. The vaccine works, and it has saved millions of lives. Your own process, on the other hand, has not been transparent. You repeatedly choose to ignore data because it doesn't match your preconceived notions and lies. So you have said that the vaccine did save lives. You've said it was a monumental achievement. And given that, if you agree with President Trump that the vaccine saved millions of lives, why have you acted behind closed doors to overrule scientists and limit the freedom of parents to choose the COVID vaccine for their children? Why have you done that?
For the COVID vaccine, I was removed by FDA because there was the industry.
No, it was behind closed doors.
No, it's not.
And scientists who said they wanted to brief you on the science, scientists who wanted to understand why the FDA, why you unilaterally changed the parameters for giving vaccines, making it possible now, to Senator Cassidy's colleagues' points, that they're going to have to go off-label.
This is crazy talk. You're just making stuff up.
To prescribe a vaccine for children. I'm not making things up. Do you know how the FDA approval process works and what happens?
Yeah, I know exactly.
Do you know what an off-label prescription is?
I know exactly how it works. I know exactly how it works.
So why behind closed doors?
It's not behind closed doors. The industry makes the studies, and they could not provide a study that said that it is effective for healthy kids.
So when have you produced the data that you relied on and that this FDA relied on to change those parameters? You did it behind closed doors.
No, the data is all public.
Now parents who decide that they do want their
So
children
show us your data set. What the fuck? He's such a dick.
Just making stuff up.
You know, sometimes when you make an accusation, it's kind of a confession, Mr. Kennedy. So let's just settle with this. Here's what's going to happen. To Senator Warner's point, to the parents who are concerned all around the country, to people who want to get the COVID vaccine this fall, even if they're under 65, because the boosters have worked, there's been much less serious disease. People do not have the same level of threat and risk from COVID that they used to because of these vaccines. People who want to exercise their freedom of choice are being denied that.
They aren't. Everybody can get the vaccine.
Because you are citing data that you won't produce to the public.
You're just
and you
making things up.
Rejecting
You're
science.
making things up to scare people, and it's a lie.
Look at that creepy bitch behind him.
Respect, I do not think I'm the one making things up. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Right now, Senator.
Senator Barrasso.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Secretary, thanks for being with us today. I believe one of President Trump's greatest achievements was his bold and successful actions on COVID. When faced with a global pandemic, he didn't back down. He was determined to find a cure, and through Operation Warp Speed, a vaccine was developed that distributed quickly, safely, effectively, and I believe it saved many, many lives. I think it's a model of American ingenuity and public-private partnership. But this wasn't the first time an American president acted boldly to address disease and vaccines. There's a great book that's
Isn't
out.
Barrasso a doctor too? Is he not?
By Rick Atkinson, and he talks about the courageous efforts by George Washington. During the Revolutionary War, George Washington reversed his opposition to the smallpox vaccine, and he ordered that all the soldiers be vaccinated. It was among the most consequential decisions Washington would ever make. By protecting his troops from smallpox, Washington preserved the Continental Army, which allowed our nation to continue to fight for our independence. And like
Seriously,
President Trump,
Max,
I believe President
impeach
Washington
that guy.
acted decisively to protect Americans' lives at a time of great national peril. So over the last 50 years, vaccines are estimated to have saved 154 million lives worldwide. I support vaccines. I'm a doctor. Vaccines work. Secretary Kennedy, in your confirmation hearings, you promised to uphold the highest standards for vaccines. Since then, I've grown deeply concerned. The public has seen measles outbreaks, leadership in the National Institute of Health questioning the use of mRNA vaccines, the recently confirmed director of Centers for Disease Control and Prevention fired. Americans don't know who to rely on.
Grace Lisa.
In a recent poll,
Move,
89% of
bitch.
voters, 81% of Trump voters agree vaccine recommendations should come from trained physicians, scientists, public health experts.
And brainworm Bobby,
They
saving lives
believe
is the problem.
Senator Marshall,
We need
Senator
attrition.
Cassidy, they believe me when it comes to vaccines. If we're going to make America healthy again, we can't allow public health to be undermined. So could you explain what steps you're going to be taking to ensure vaccine guidance is clear, evidence-based, and trustworthy?
We're going to make it clear, evidence-based, and trustworthy for the first time in history. For most, right now, you know, when I was a kid, I got 3 vaccines. I was fully compliant. Today's children have to get between 69 and 92 vaccines in order to be fully compliant, between maternity and 18 years. Only one of those 19 vaccines, 92 doses, only one of those vaccines.
Really? I don't recall going 92 times with my child to the doctor to get vaccines.
Any new vaccine that
I'm confused.
Before it's approved and licensed, will have to demonstrate safety against the inert placebo, and we're going to go back and do observational studies on the existing vaccines to see if they're linked to any of these chronic disease epidemics.
What? What? He's what? They're gonna what? Oh my God.
So that people can understand the risk profile of those products and make good assessments for their own health.
So in 2 weeks, vaccine experts at the CDC
We have risk profiles. It's called the last 50, 70
Parents and
years.
physicians depend upon this
That's
guidance
what
to
it
make
is.
decisions and to keep
We
kids
have
safe.
that
And
data.
as I said, I support vaccines.
It's all around
I've been
us.
hearing from many of my medical colleagues, people I've known from medical school, residency, and when I practiced medicine in Wyoming, and there are real concerns that safe, proven vaccines like measles, like hepatitis B and others could be in jeopardy. And that would put Americans at risk and reverse decades of progress. As we've seen over the last 4 years, the previous administration 4 years, when recommendations became politicized or were swayed by bias, that the public trust can be lost. So what safeguards are in place to ensure decisions are based solely on science and not politics? And how are you going to make sure doctors and parents can count on CDC guidance?
I mean, Senator, I would point this out. Right now, there's only 10% of children are complying with the CDC's recommendation on COVID boosters. Only 15% of healthcare workers. So Americans have lost faith in CDC, and we need to restore that faith. And we're going to do that by telling the truth and not through propaganda, by making them understand that everything that we say is true, that we're going to tell them what we know, we're going to tell them what we don't know, and we're going to tell them what we're researching and how we're doing it, and we're going to be transparent. It's the only way to restore trust in the agency, by making it trustworthy.
Thank you. Finally, with chronic diseases like you, I'm committed to addressing our nation's growing rate of chronic diseases. I think if we're going to make America healthy again, we need to support rural primary care providers that play a role. As a rural physician, I want to make sure we can prevent and manage chronic diseases in their communities, and I ask for you to continue to work with us specifically with regard to rural health.
Thank you, Congressman.
Senator Daines.
Thank you, Congressman. I know, it is Badger. She's so
Thank
creepy.
you. Secretary Kennedy, welcome. It's good to see you here again. I want to begin my time by talking about the issue of federal deregulation of chemical abortion drugs. Since mifepristone was approved in 2000, 25 years ago, the FDA has steadily stripped away safeguards related to this drug, no longer requiring a doctor's prescription, no follow-up visits, no adverse event reporting, and now allowing it to be sent through the mail. Earlier this year, there was a new study that analyzed 865,000
Senator Daines, how many women have died in parking lots because they couldn't get access, or birthing people have died because they couldn't get access to life-saving abortion care? Dr. Daines, can you tell me that?
45 days of taking mifepristone. To put that in perspective, that is 22 times higher than the FDA's long-standing estimate of less than 0.5%. While these findings alone are shocking, my conversations with those in the medical profession, credible medical professionals, lead me to believe that even this study may indeed underrepresent the scale of the problem. For years, we've heard the misleading and frankly very harmful lie that's being sold to women that this drug is, and I quote, safe as Tylenol. These lies sadly have real-world consequences. Just last year, 2 women died as a result of taking chemical abortion pills because they were able to access them without appropriate medical oversight. And by the way, that's all allowed by the FDA. Mr. Secretary, I am grateful that you and FDA Commissioner McCary have already begun the process of reviewing this new data on the safety of mifepristone. We talked about this during your confirmation.
So 25 years of actual data
could you provide any
doesn't really matter
on the status and the scope of that review, and whether the FDA intends to replicate studies like the one that I referenced?
I think those are, I don't know if they're going to
exactly,
do
Gal. I believe
study.
nothing.
That's one way to
I
do
believe
it.
what he is doing is
I
all
don't
dangerous
know exactly,
to our health.
Whether they're doing epidemiological studies or observational studies, I don't know exactly what they're doing, but I know I talked to Marty McCary about it yesterday, and he said those studies are progressing and that they're ongoing. So I will keep your office informed at every stage.
Thank you. And I've had a really constructive conversation with the FDA Commissioner as well, McCary. And I mean, here's a very smart, data-focused, sincere type of leader. And we had a really good conversation. I want to encourage those conversations with you, Mr. Secretary, and that we there's a follow-up here to make sure that the data that we now have exposed will be studied by the FDA and the appropriate actions considered. Given the legitimate safety concerns surrounding mifepristone and your actions to roll back other COVID emergency measures, will you repeal the COVID-era telemedicine allowance, given that we're repealing these COVID-era regulations and emergency measures? Would you repeal the COVID-era telemedicine allowance for chemical abortion drugs and restore the requirement for an in-person doctor visit?
Senator, I need to get back to you on that. I don't know if the White House has yet taken a position on that. We will get back to you this
Senator,
week.
I have to be told what
All
to
right.
think.
Thank you.
So I'll get back
I
to
want
you
to
on that.
close with a quick Montana question. Earlier this week, the state of Montana submitted a Medicaid demonstration waiver application to CMS to strengthen the state's Medicaid expansion program. This waiver seeks to require community engagement and enhance cost sharing for working-age, able-bodied adults enrolled in the program. I applaud our governor, Gianforte, and Director Brereton for their proactive leadership in this space. My question is, Mr. Secretary, could you commit that CMS will work quickly in its consideration of Montana's waiver application?
Absolutely. It sounds like the kind of waiver that we're looking for.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Secretary.
Thank you, Senator Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Such cruelty.
Secretary Kennedy, first of all, thank you for your willingness to serve and for putting up with this abuse. 5 minutes is even close to refute all of the falsehoods that have been confidently spewed during this hearing. We'll talk about real data here, okay? Well, first of all, thank you for breaking the logjam of information of HHS. My committee's got now over 8 million pages of information. Just in the first tranche, by the way, what we discovered is that CDC, somebody in the federal health agencies, this interagency communication, hid the signal. They admitted there was a signal on myocarditis, and they hid it. They didn't warn the public. They didn't warn doctors. So that's just one.
Hit it sounds like a feeling word. Okay,
and
that's a
lies told by the
feeling
CDC.
phrase.
We've got a lot of others we'll be rolling out, okay? So
Really,
we held our
Max?
first hearing
That's
and
fucked
further
up.
subcommittee investigation on that hiding of the signal of myocarditis. We've heard a lot of studies, okay? As I've looked into science, it's been thoroughly corrupted. Here's data, and I'd like to enter this sheet into the record. I've been publishing this chart for, since really early 2021, when I'm on, for example, talk radio shows and they talk about this, they get deplatformed, or they were, because of all the censorship during the Biden administration. Here's the facts. The VAERS system that was touted in October of 2020, this great safety surveillance system on COVID, a few months later, when they didn't like the results, they started denigrating their own system. But VAERS shows that there have been 38,742 deaths.
God, he's
on
pushing
VAERS
old
worldwide
COVID
associated with
disinformation.
COVID vaccine.
Theirs is
38,742.
self-reported information. It's
9,252
another
of those
data
deaths
set. It is not empirical data.
occurred on
It
the
is
day of vaccination
self-reported,
within 1 or 2
which
days.
means it's unreliable.
I agree with you. Nobody
It's
knows
just
how many COVID
another
deaths were,
piece.
because
No one ever said that it was
information
going
was
to be the
completely
be-all, end-all. They
corrupted.
said that it was
Nobody knows
not.
how many lives were saved.
You're a liar,
I think
Ron
most people,
Russian
okay, if you're
Johnson.
vulnerable, raise your antibodies.
Ron's
reverse
little
severity,
Johnson.
Fine. There's not any good study on that. There's just information out there, just claims being
Liar.
made. This is hard evidence. And certainly what I've been advocating
See, it's actually
for are
not.
the
It's actually the opposite of hard evidence. It's self-reported
childhood
data,
vaccine injury.
which is what everybody said,
We're gonna be
but you
holding a
didn't
hearing
listen,
next
Ron,
Tuesday
because you only talked to the
on a
memo
study
that Steve Bannon gave you.
done by a high-integrity
I turned him
healthcare
off.
facility that shows that actually looked at vaccinated versus unvaccinated. Very high-quality study. I'm not going to steal the thunder of Aaron Seary, who's going to be testifying on this. I think you're aware of this study that shows the vaccinated population far more prone to chronic illness than people completely unexposed to vaccines. That is just one example of how science has been corrupted by the way, the study was conducted, and when they conducted this, oh no, no matter what the results are, we're going to release this. They got the results in 2000. It is yet to be released. We're going to enter that in the record on Tuesday. Do you want to just talk about what you've witnessed in terms of the capture of the agencies that you're now in charge of, the corruption of science, which I believe you just said, that is almost your number one goal, right, is try to bring integrity and credibility back to science, which has been corrupted by the people who pay for it, by federal health agencies being captured by pharmaceutical industries, by big pharma, by big food. Just, I want to give you, I'm sorry, just the last minute to, first of all, defend yourself, but talk about the corruption of science that you're having to deal with and trying to correct.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just tell you one example, and I could sit here and give you thousands. But in 2002, CDC did an internal study of Atlanta and Fulton County, Georgia children, and looked at children who got the MMR vaccine on time and compared those to kids who got them later. So in other words, kids who got them before 36 months and kids who got them afterward. The data from that study showed that black boys who got the vaccine on time had a 260% greater chance of getting an autism diagnosis than children who waited. The chief scientist on that, Dr. William Thompson, the senior vaccine safety scientist at CDC, was ordered to come into a room with 4 other co-authors by his boss, Frank DiStefano, who's the head of the immunization safety branch, and ordered to destroy that data.
Oh my God.
And they published it without that fact.
The eugenics is just too much for me.
I know that story. And you know of hundreds of stories
fucking hate
like
this
that.
guy
It
so
happens
much. He's such
all
a
the
fucking
time.
racist
We are being
pig.
lied to by these agencies, and we're
Stupid
gonna change
heroin
that right
addict. I have more respect for regular heroin addicts. How about some fucking Mike?
It's going to be out of business. I just
Fucking
want to enter that in
idiots.
record as well.
Without objection.
Fuck
the
you,
committee will
Ron
take
Johnson.
a 5-minute quick break here just to allow just a moment of reset here, and then we'll start right back up again in about 5 minutes.
Wow. Wow. They're just in a break. I'll just let them continue to be in a break. I'm so sorry that we have to listen to this. I am so sorry. I know this is angering and not helping anybody's blood pressure. Hopefully we can still get blood pressure medicine. And if I were, I mean, I wouldn't be his bodyguard, but if I were his bodyguard, I'd stand up and walk out. Because I can't, why would you protect someone like that? Is so insane. So fucking insane. And so dangerous. Like, he's not just a stupid, insane guy that's like, you know, morosely entertaining. He is literally killing people. And I don't think it's going to be too long before we start hearing the stories of how direct policies coming out of his whatever ass that he farts. I'd go to jail. I would stand up and walk out. I would put a sign up that says, I quit. I mean, I don't want to denigrate people who are heroin addicts because, frankly, I think being addicted, I was addicted. I was an addict, not for heroin, but as an alcoholic for 21 years. So I know what addiction is. And I have incredible empathy. But so that's why I'm saying that, because I have respect for people who are suffering with addiction. This guy is just a fucking loser. I can't even believe it. I thought DOJ, or I thought, oh, what the fuck? I thought DOJ did now. Or maybe I'm wrong. I don't even know. What's crazier? Why hasn't the Secret Service taken Trump out to the loony bin? Right? Jane. Oh my God. Karen, I'm going up a little bit. I wonder how many women died last year from leaving their tampon in too long. Probably more than 2. Ban tampons. Yes. What about toxic shock syndrome? What's he going to do about that? What's he going to... Filosa, please. Oh my God. Yes. Hey, COVID vax. Hey, COVID vax made my penis grow twice in size. Follow me for more tips. Hello, darling. How are you, Filosa, please? It's so good to see you. My Discord neighbor. That's what I always think of you as. I think of you as my Discord neighbor because we both have channels that we... I'm so glad to hear that. I'm so glad to hear you're doing okay. Oh my gosh. It's just too much. It's just too much. I don't know. I can't with these people. I can't. Time to leave Clump at the edge of the village. Time to leave Clump at the edge of the village. Hey, did you guys catch my new song last night? I need to re-record that song because I realized that I totally blew out my mic when I was recording it, but I can't hear it back that way. I don't know. I feel like I have the stupidest audio in the world. I got to figure out my whole audio situation. I wish I could say that I'm young enough to figure out and learn things, but I don't feel like I'm that young anymore that I can just like, oh, I'm going to figure out all this technology.
Committee's returning back from recess on this.
All right. Anyways, they're coming back to listen to more bullshit. Oops.
Sorry, I want
Sorry.
to talk to you about Rhode Island.
Uh-oh, Rhode Island.
When you were last sitting there, here's what I said to you. I want to read it back to you because I want it to sink in.
Oh, shit. He's mad.
CMS has for years maintained a reimbursement system that the bureaucracy could never explain, never justify, that persistently pays Rhode Island providers less than neighboring Massachusetts and Connecticut providers, a difference of 23 and 26% in our regional healthcare market. Rhode Island's healthcare system is bleeding out because we aren't paid what neighboring hospitals and doctors are paid. And the one act that CMS took on this issue years ago was to make it worse. I raised that with you then. I've raised it since with Dr. Oz. I've raised it with CMMI Director Sutton. I would like to get action from CMS on that. One partial avenue of relief for Rhode Island is the AHEAD program. Rhode Island is a willing voluntary participant in the AHEAD program. Coming behind Rhode Island is Connecticut. What remains to be seen is whether the payment rates agreed to for Rhode Island will suffer the same discriminatory discount with respect to the AHEAD rates for Connecticut as Connecticut comes through. I've been able to get no assurances from CMS that they care one whit about this payment differential or that they see AHEAD as a means of resolving this injustice. Mr. Kennedy, our healthcare system is teetering as a result of this. This is not a casual matter, and I would really like to see you and Dr. Oz and Mr. Dutton put your attention onto this Rhode Island problem. There is no conceivable justification for paying a hospital in Fall River 23% more than Rhode Island Hospital when Rhode Island Hospital provides more and better services, as recognized by the Secret Service, which will take an injured president from Martha's Vineyard to the Rhode Island Hospital Trauma Center, flying right over St. Anne's Hospital in Fall River, yet Fall River gets paid more. It makes no sense, and it has to be resolved. The other problem that I mentioned to you is that I'm now in my 4th round of CMMI directors. It's bloody Groundhog Day, trying to get something done about how end-of-life patients are treated. I'm offering Rhode Island as a willing example of how we can do it better. It is idiotic and cruel to force a family to put their dying loved one through 3 days and 2 nights of a hospital before they can put them in a nursing home. It is equally ridiculous to not allow palliative and curative care to happen together. Providing home care when someone is dying, even if they can still get out of the house or into the yard, is a basic thing to ask. And to have respite care be that somebody comes to the house instead of taking a dying family member to a hospital That's not even respite. Every single one, Mr. Kennedy, of these waivers has been granted in the past by CMMS and other circumstances. All I want is for somebody to come and work out how we do this in Rhode Island. What is our patient base that we'll do this in? How we put the waivers together? To quote your CMS director, Mr. Oz, he said, as we discussed in your office, we must re-examine how end-of-life care is addressed in this country. I'm offering Rhode Island as an example of how to make it better. I hope you will concede that right now it is not good. So,
Senator,
I need you to respond to me. You guys know where to find me. I'm up in the Hart Building.
Yeah.
We've reached out, we've tried for meetings, and the progress in all three of those areas, fixing the payment gap, getting ahead balanced regionally, and following through on our desire to do good things, improving end-of-life care with waivers you guys have already granted, has gotten me so far no place. And forgive my impatience, a lot of it predates you.
He did
I put a
say
hold
Mr.
on Biden nominees because I was getting jerked around by your bureaucracy. I'd like it to end and get some progress.
Yeah, you know, Senator, you raised this during my confirmation hearing, and I said to you then, and you were very civil. You raised something that makes a lot of sense to the extent that we have the power to fix it at CMS. I'd like to do it. We've had the same kind of complaints from Vermont. But I said to you at that time, call me and let's come talk about this. You have my cell phone. You can call me anytime. I've never heard from you in 7 months. Call me up. I'd love to meet with you. I'll get
so it has to be a
in the
personal
meeting,
phone
and,
call?
you know, what you're saying, particularly about at the end of life, it may be something we can do something
Talk about like your mom.
I want to help, and, let me know.
We'll try.
Yeah,
Forgive
let me
my
know.
frustration. You've got 30,000 employees. They could have reached out to me. They know where I live.
Yes. Senator Cortez Masto.
No,
Secretary Kennedy, thank you.
sometimes I
for
wish I could
being
help
here.
these guys.
In May, you said, and I quote,
I should
stand
be
with
like a
President Trump to
retort
say,
coach.
no more middlemen, no more foreign freeloaders, no more skyrocketing drug prices. We're putting American patients first and taking on big pharma to make America healthy again. Yet your record tells a different story. In July, Republicans handed Big Pharma a massive win. Their big, beautiful bill that they just passed shields billion-dollar drugs like Keytruda, the world's top-selling cancer drug, from Medicare negotiation. Keytruda has been on the market since 2014. It pulled in nearly $18 billion last year in the United States alone. It costs patients up to
Kim, that would have been great. Oh my
$175,000 a
God.
year.
If I were White House, I'd get my cell phone out and call him right now.
And forcing families into crushing debt or to forego life-saving care. And yet you support the big, beautiful
I would
bill.
do that. I would do that,
despite the
mailing
hybrid
star. I'd volunteer
executive
to do
orders
that.
and
You don't have to
Washington
pay me. I'll do
Republicans
it.
only drug pricing law days relief for Medicare patients relying
Neil,
on high-cost cancer drugs. Meanwhile, Democrats finally have allowed Medicare to negotiate drug prices. I will say that Keytruda, along with Opdivo and Darzalex, the three top-selling cancer drugs, were widely expected to be selected for Part B negotiation in 2026 for 2028 implementation. They are now, because of the actions of this administration, exempt from negotiation for at least several additional years, if not permanently. So my question to you, Mr. Secretary, is how
I don't
do you
even understand how you
justify claiming to take
justify
on
that.
Big Pharma while supporting a bill that shields drugs like Keytruda and other cancer drugs from Medicare negotiation, costing seniors and taxpayers billions, and risking the lives of cancer patients who cannot afford their necessary medication?
Yeah, Senator, I appreciate the question. The Medicare drug negotiations in the IRA were very well intentioned, but they were poorly structured.
Oh, Kim,
What
I
we
just saw your
found
note, the
is
side
that there
note. That's
are actually,
interesting.
the negotiations that have occurred actually have ended up raising the costs for Medicare. We are right now in negotiations.
The CBO has not agreed to that. The CBO doesn't say that. And it's just the opposite. So you're saying the CBO and independent agencies that validate the costs are wrong?
That is CMS data. That's
Okay, so let's
actually
just focus
raising-
on the cancer drugs. Why aren't we negotiating those and bringing those down for families? Why does the bill exempt those?
It's part of the MFN negotiations. I'm not sure that provision in the bill of the One Beautiful Bill, but the...
You're not sure of the provision, the negotiation provision, and how exempted
For
cancer
Keytruda.
drugs? Your agency is responsible for that negotiation, and you don't know about it?
I know that we're negotiating in the MFN
Let me ask you this, Mr.
negotiations.
Secretary.
Oh, my God.
Let me ask you another question.
He's so dumb.
How much are Medicare Part D enrollees expected to pay for prescription
He thought
drug
he was
coverage
just going to
next
get
year?
laid, y'all. Okay? He thought this was more pussy. Now it's more problems.
I think that is in debate right now.
Let me tell you.
Are you talking about the
They are going to pay $15 more than last year, up to $50 a month. Now, let me have a question for you on Part B. How much are Medicare Part B premiums expected to increase next year?
I don't know. I talked to Dr. Oz
that
about
is
it
about,
yesterday. I think it's
they're supposed to increase about
16%.
11.6% or $21.50 more each month.
Each
and
month.
Again,
That's a
last
fucking
time you
lot
were
of
before
money.
Me, you couldn't answer the questions of the very agency and the authority that you have to address these issues. You know, next year, seniors and families are facing higher health care costs across the board. 23 million people on Medicare with a standalone Part D drug plan could see their premiums rise to $50 a month, up from $35, because the Trump administration is cutting the federal subsidy that has been keeping costs down. Part B premiums will jump 11.6% to $206 a month in 2026, one of the largest single-year increases in decades. And so for an administration that claims it is lowering costs, my question to you is, what are you going to do to keep costs down for seniors?
I mean, I'm already doing I'm already keeping costs down.
What are you doing to keep costs down for seniors, knowing that these costs are going to be increasing?
I mean, the program integrity bill, that is the first action that I did when I got in. It's one of the earliest actions in history of a complex regulation by an HHS secretary.
In a history, he's got that Trump thing, you know. It's the history. I'm the biggest. I'm the best.
That's the Congressional Budget Office.
Medicaid was automatically reduced. Oh,
yay.
Good job, Mountain Star. Oh, my gosh.
Does that impact seniors? And I know my time is running out. Does that impact seniors?
I pray for
What you just talked about, you're lowering costs. I'm asking you specifically.
We're lowering
for helping
costs.
seniors. Does it impact seniors?
Which ones?
Does it impact?
Let me just stop here.
I didn't
My
hear
time is
what
running
you
out,
said.
so I appreciate the
He's
chairman's
acting.
indulgence here. My concern is you can't answer the questions. The very agency has oversight over these issues and controls the levers to lower costs for seniors. And you can't answer that simple question.
I didn't hear your question.
Okay, let's go.
We'll just proceed. And Senator Tillis has yielded his position to Senator Blackburn, so
And
she'll take it.
thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Ew.
And Mr. Secretary, thank you for
Ew.
joining us today.
Ew.
I appreciate the comments you've made about the Rural Health Transformation Program. That is something many of us worked on, and we were pleased to push that out of this committee. And I know Dr. Oz is moving forward with implementing that. I appreciate your comments to Senator Warner on the area wage index. He and I have worked on fixing that, and we appreciate your attention. I am delighted to know that you're going to end the revolving door and the conflicts of interest. I have found it so unseemly that people who work with a pharmaceutical or with a big food company,
Let me tell you what
then
I
go
find
back
unseemly.
over into
That
CDC
rat's
or
nest on your head.
NIH or FDA, and then they're signing off on regulation for their former employer and many times their future employer. So we appreciate that. Senator Langford went to you on the PBMs. And as you are aware, my PBM Act that Senator Wyden worked with me on, that made it out of this committee last cycle. And making certain that we keep these rural pharmacies open, making certain that PBMs do not profit above what is their standard service fee and that they have to disclose all their pricing. That is going to be an imperative. So will you work with us to get that PBM legislation across the finish line and to the president's desk?
Yes, Senator, absolutely.
Thank you. Interoperability is something that you have announced, a new interoperability framework to better align data sharing principles. And this is important to digital health. And as you're aware, when we passed 21st Century Cures in 2018, the Software Act and that health IT definition is something that I worked tirelessly on to get implemented. So what I want to hear from you is, how does CMS plan to align this new framework with the existing federal framework, and how are we going to be able to move forward with one national policy on interoperability?
Well, I don't know if we, what we have right now is concrete commitments from the 60 top tech companies who we were able to convene to do data sharing, to do patient accessibility, and to do interoperability. But I can't tell you how that's going to mesh.
Then if you will have someone submit to me in writing what that pathway is, this is something that is essential if we're going to be able to benefit from that data. So having some specificity on the pathway will be helpful. I did want to talk with you. Last time you were here, I talked about the concerns on overprescribing prescription stimulant drugs for children. And there are ways that HHS can work collaboratively with state agencies on this and to actually promote more community-based intervention to combat overprescribing. And we all have seen the harmful side effects. And there's a lot of reporting out there on this, and tremendous concern for grandmamas like me who see children and friends of our grandchildren who suffer with this. So I know your team is working on solutions. So you're going to have your Make Our Children Healthy Again strategy that you're going to release, but talk for a moment.
Oh, Val.
We've got 30 seconds left. Talk for a moment on how you can better arm parents with information on the harmful side effects.
Yeah, she knows a lot about unseemly. His face is the color of burnt umbrage.
I mean, one of the problems, Senator, is that,
hold on just a minute.
We now have 1 out of every 5 kids on these drugs and the antidepressants, even more. And we know very little about the long-term impacts because NIH and CDC have been asleep at the wheel. Right now, we are doing those studies. We're doing extensive studies so that we can warn parents and so that we can force the companies to put labels on their products. And, we'll do whatever we can to show that. Just to get data out
Grandma,
to the public.
how do you feel about kids in Florida not having access
and to show what the long-term impact of some of these drugs is?
For school?
Are we actually preventing suicide, or are we creating more suicide?
Oh my God!
And that's something that
I'm going to make up an IA study about that later on.
Is, how did these drugs become so common in our society without us even knowing the answer to those questions? That is malpractice at these agencies, and that is the malpractice that I am going to fix.
Thank you.
Everybody's going on heroin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So last November, while you were under consideration to become Secretary of Health and Human Services, Mr. Kennedy, you said, quote, "If vaccines are working for somebody, I'm not going to take them away." No exceptions, no ifs, ands, or buts. You would not take away vaccines from anyone who wanted them. Then last week, you announced that the COVID-19 vaccine is no longer approved for healthy people under the age of 65. In announcing the change, you said the vaccine will be available for anyone who wants it. Now, obviously, both things cannot be true at the same moment. So let's clear this up right now, Secretary Kennedy. Will you tell America that all adults and all children over 6 months of age are eligible to get a COVID booster at their local pharmacy today?
Anybody can get the booster.
I'm sorry?
Anybody can get it, Senator.
Anybody. So you're saying that is now the official rule of HHS. Anybody is eligible to get a booster by just walking into the pharmacy.
It's not recommended for healthy people.
No. If you don't recommend, then the consequence of that in many states is that you can't walk into a pharmacy and get one. It means insurance companies don't have to cover the $200 or so cost. As Senator Dr. Cassidy said, you are effectively denying people vaccines.
We're not going to recommend a product for which there's no clinical data for that indication.
There is clinical data, you stupid fuck.
What you should be doing is honoring your promise that you made when you
There you
were
go,
looking to
Kim.
get confirmed in this job.
You're going like
and
this.
that is, you promised that you would not take away vaccines from anyone who wanted them. You just changed the classification of the COVID vaccine.
I'm not taking them away from people, Senator.
It takes
you
it
are.
away if you can't
You're making
get
it not
from the
accessible.
pharmacy.
You
Most
can't.
Americans are going to be able to get it from their
Most.
pharmacy.
Wait, you just said all.
Most Americans will be able to get it from their pharmacy.
What about most? What you just said all?
That was your promise.
No, I didn't. I never promised that I was going to recommend products with which there is no indication.
When you said,
and I know you've taken $855,000
Here he goes. I knew he was going to do that.
pharmaceutical
You took
companies,
money from the
Senator.
pharmaceutical
Big
industry.
sign saying
Well,
you
and
were
you took
lying
heroin. So
when you said
there
that
you go.
because you are the one who said you would not take them away. Now, Senator Kennedy,
I'm not taking them away from anybody.
Secretary,
You want me to indicate a product for which there is no clinical data?
Stop
Is that
him.
what you want?
Stop
Secretary
him.
Kennedy, you said you
There
wouldn't,
is clinical
and now
data,
did.
you
I'm not
stupid
taking them
fuck.
away. Everybody can get access to them.
Not every. You just said most. Not everybody. What is it? Which one?
Month and get access.
It depends on the it depends on the states.
He should get a job where he
But
can
they
practice
still get
medicine.
it. Everybody can get it.
Ago, it did
Everybody
not
can
depend.
get it, Senator.
So look, let's move on.
Wait, you just
clearly
said
are taking
most.
away
Now it's
vaccines.
everybody. I
I've
don't get
seen the
this.
list for what's coming up next, and that is the agenda for the next CDC vaccine panel. And first up is ratifying your COVID actions. Second is hepatitis B is on the agenda. So should Americans expect you to take away hepatitis vaccine access as well, even though you promised not to?
As I said, I'm not taking vaccines away from anybody.
Okay, same answer, right? You're just going to deny that when people can't get access, that you're not taking it away. Then let me ask you, is that the same game you're going to play with
Well,
measles,
you want me to,
mumps,
so you want me to
rubella,
recommend
chickenpox?
every product in the world so that without any clinical trial data?
Through on your promises.
Yeah, my promise was to give.
A month ago, we could get COVID vaccines by just walking.
You can
into a
still get
pharmacy.
COVID vaccines,
You
Senator.
are taking that away.
No, you are
So
still.
let me
You can
ask
still
you
get the
one more
COVID vaccines,
question,
and Medicare
Secretary
will still
Kennedy.
pay for them, and Medicaid will still pay for them.
Tell the head of the CDC that if she refused to sign off on your changes to the childhood vaccine schedule, that she had to resign.
No, I told her that she had to resign because I asked her, "Are you a trustworthy person?" And she said no. So if you had an employee
Oh my God.
who told you they weren't
Oh
trustworthy,
my
would you
God.
ask them to resign, Senator?
What?
So I'm sorry,
What?
but this is not what she has said publicly.
What?
She has
Well,
said
I'm
she
not
was
surprised about
totally
that.
approved.
What?
So you're saying she's lying?
What?
Yes. Every conversation I had with her, there
And
were
let me get
witnesses.
this straight. This is the same person that less than
Exactly,
a month
Meowing
earlier,
Star,
you stood
totally.
next to her and described her as unimpeachable, and you had full confidence in her, and that you had full confidence in her scientific credentials. And in a month, she became a liar? Is
Yeah,
that what
you
you're
should
saying?
ask her what changed. And by the way, a month ago, you were voting against her. Oh, because you thought she was either incompetent,
Okay.
ineligible,
Okay.
or unsuited
This
to the
isn't
task.
about me, sweetheart. That's what I would say. Honey, it's not about me.
You and Donald Trump.
Okay.
And it looks like she
We're talking
didn't
about what
bend the knee,
happened.
So you fired her. Look, you are putting America's babies' health at risk, America's seniors' health at risk, all
This is
Americans'
it.
health at risk, and you should resign.
Senator Sanders.
That's right. Boom. Go fuck yourself.
Just want to pick up
Bernie,
on
please
Senator
don't
Warren's
let,
point.
please
Are
let
you telling
loose,
us
Bernie,
that
please.
the former
I need
head
angry
of
Bernie.
CDC went to you, you asked her, are you a trustworthy person? And she said, no, I am not a trustworthy person.
She didn't say, no, I'm not a trustworthy person. She said, no.
Wow.
Giving a quote. And I asked
no,
her twice.
No, 1 second. And you're also repeating now that she is a liar, correct? What you wrote in the Wall Street Journal.
If she wrote that I fired her because she refused to sign on in advance for the ASIP committee, no, that's not accurate.
All right, so you're calling her a liar, and I look forward to her coming before the Help Committee, maybe this committee as well. All right, Mr. Secretary, I've got a bunch of questions. Appreciate brevity in answering it. So-called beautiful bill threw 15 million Americans off of health care, substantially raised premiums, and is going to have a terrible impact on nursing homes, community health centers, rural hospitals all over America. Very briefly, is that really making America healthy again?
It's going to have it's going to be the biggest infusion of federal dollars into rural health care in American history.
You know why? Because you're cutting $150 billion for rural hospitals. You're putting $50 billion back. That's not an infusion. That's a loss of $100 billion. All right, next question. President Trump, who I don't usually agree with, called COVID vaccines, quote, one of the greatest miracles in the history of modern-day medicine that saved tens of millions of lives worldwide. Scientific community agrees with Trump. Lancet study found that it prevented almost 20 million deaths during their first year of use. Secretary Kennedy, are President Trump and the medical community right, or do you still believe that the COVID vaccine was, quote, the deadliest vaccine ever made?
No, first of all, I didn't say that. Oh, I said that in terms of affairs reports a while ago. I said today,
Not data.
that President Trump
Theirs is not data.
So who's right? Is Trump in the
Theirs is
medical
not
community
data.
right, or are you right?
Theirs
President
is
Trump did an
self-reported data.
extraordinary piece of leadership.
Is he right or wrong? Did COVID save millions of lives?
As I said, he got Americans back to work. At that time, that particular vaccine
is that a
was
no?
perfectly matched to the virus that was circulating then. And I have no idea how many lives it
Wait,
saved, but it saved quite a few.
Wait. So if it saved a bunch of lives, then there is data. So what you said earlier with this, there's no clinical data. You're now saying there actually is data that indicates that the COVID vaccine saved lives. So what is it? I don't know. I'm getting both sides out of this anus mouth, this walking scrotum. That's really it. When he gets back to his office, he's going to get a Hummer under the desk from the latest intern. That's why he's there. He's there to get laid, okay? He's there to say, hey, I'm HHS director. Why don't you suck my dick? That's what he's there for. He doesn't know anything. He doesn't know anything. He doesn't know anything. Data isn't data. Well, data is data. But self-reported data isn't data. Or it's not scientific data.
You know, what I find a little bit weird in this discussion, I'm hearing it over and over again this morning, Mr. Chairman, is we've got the entire medical community on one side. You got the AMA representing hundreds of thousands of doctors, the American Academy of Pediatrics, the American Public Health Association. All of these organizations are telling us that COVID vaccine and vaccines in general are safe and effective.
Sorry, Badger, I know it's
casting
early.
doubt
But this
on
is the
that
guy who had an
scientific-
affair with a newspaper person.
That are agreeing with you and casting aspersions on vaccines.
See? Sorry to plant that seed.
The primary advisors are Marty McCary, Jay Bhattacharya, Dr. Oz, Vinay Prasad.
So you got a few doctors who agree with you, and I'm giving you the
Not
names.
a few doctors.
Dr.
What
Malone,
you're talking about
Simone Gold,
there's a big difference, Senator, between established science and the scientific establishment, which has been co-opted
Tenpenny,
by the pharmaceutical
that bitch, the one with the magnetic spoons.
That the American Medical Association, representing hundreds of thousands of people, have been co-opted, and that they should not trust their doctors. And the American Academy of Pediatrics, and by the way, just for the record, every single Republican, I don't mean to be political here, Mr. Chairman, has received PAC money from the pharmaceutical industry. Are they all corrupt as well?
And I'm telling you, the American Heart Association has been co-opted by the food
Everybody but you, Senator. But you know what? When you ran for president, we have a corrupt campaign finance system. Maybe you will agree with me on that. Okay, you were already president, you got a billionaire behind it. You received $300,000 from people, not from the industry, people in it, as I did, from individuals. You corrupt. President Trump got $3 million. Every Republican got corporate PAC money for the pharmaceutical industry. Democrats as well. Everybody is corrupt, but you? Is that what we're looking at? I don't think so. And I think the issue now...
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Well, I think you do know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
you do know what he's talking about.
The issue
Yeah,
is
you
every
do
time
know what he's
anyone
talking
disagrees
about.
with you-
Yeah, you
saying
do.
the pharmaceutical industry was supporting my presidential campaign?
I'm saying,
I don't think so.
I'm not saying
Yeah,
that.
he
I'm
didn't
saying
say
the
that.
pharmaceutical industry is a greedy institution which is charging us the highest prices in the world. They are pervasive. But to suggest that every institution, the AMA, the pediatrics people, is corrupt because they disagree with you is an insult to the
It's not,
American
listen, people disagree with me all the time. I have
No,
arguments
stop.
in my agency, heated arguments
Cut 'em
every
off.
day with Jay Bhattacharya, with Marty
Cut 'em off.
McCary,
Take your
with
time
Dr.
back.
Oz.
You have given the names
Bernie, take
of
your
a
time
few
back.
people. I have given you the names of
Take
organizations
your
representing
time
hundreds of
back.
thousands of doctors and scientists. I yield, Mr. President.
Senator Tillis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Secretary Kennedy, thank you for being here. A couple of times you asked
RFK
people
is
if
so
they were making
rattled.
a statement or a question. What I think I may do, just to give you a breather, is to make a statement with a lot of questions, and just for the
He's the
record, I'd
original
like you to have
attorney.
the opportunity to have your staff
Hi,
respond.
Josh.
I can't conclude from the discussion today where you are on warp speed.
Mrs.
So I
Blackburn,
would
you're
like
looking rather
a
peaked
definitive
today.
statement on exactly where you are. Was it good? Was it bad? Were the things that worked? Were
Uh-oh.
the things that didn't work? I can't.
Even they're not
discern
letting
that
go of it.
from what
Wow.
you said here. I, for one, think that it was a signature accomplishment of President Trump, and the mRNA platform is something.
I agree with
that. I look forward to you giving us a detailed statement on exactly where you are with warp speed. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a trial lawyer. I'm a boring management consultant. Another question that we'll
Oh, that means you don't
submit in
do
the
anything.
record. I'll give you
No,
direction
I'm sorry.
on where we're going. I don't see how you go over
You tell
4
people what to
weeks
do.
from a public health expert with unimpeachable scientific credentials, a longtime champion of MAHA values, caring and compassionate and brilliant microbiologist, and 4 weeks later fire her because at least the public reports say because she refused to fire people that worked for her. So as somebody who advised executives on hiring strategies, number
3.5.
one, I would suggest in the interview, you ask them if they're truthful rather than 4 weeks after we took the time of the U.S. Senate to confirm the person
I'm an
just for
agile.
the future nominee
I'm just
that we're going to
a
have to consider.
boring old agile lean manager.
But I do also believe that some of your statements
TQM.
seem to contradict
Okay,
what
I
you
was
said
wondering,
in the prior
TW,
hearing.
what
You
the
said
hell
you're
is
going to empower the scientists at HHS to do their job. I'd just like to see evidence where you've done that. And I'm sure that you will have some.
Ouch.
You will do nothing that makes it difficult or discourages people from taking vaccines. There seem to be several reports that would seem to refute that, but I'd rather you just respond to it. I'm not going to come here and impose
Tillis
my
is
belief
really trying to
over
walk a line here.
any of yours. That, again, seems to be contradictory to the firing of a CDC director, the canceling of mRNA research contracts, firing advisory board members, attempting to stall NIH funding, eliminating funding for the I think $500 million for further mRNA research. And just want an answer for it. On H.R. 1, I believe you know my concerns about H.R. 1. I've had several meetings with, and H.R. 1 is the big, beautiful bill, OB3, whatever the brand is. But I'm still, I've got an office with 60 staff, including half of them in state office. I've had 3 different estimates of the economic impact on the state of North Carolina. Can I get your commit? And I have been looking for somebody that's far more resourced than an office of 30 people up in here in D.C. to disprove my estimates with respect to the impact on North Carolina, period. And I've yet to have anybody. I would love to be embarrassed and be wrong, but I would like to get your commitment for people to tease through the numbers that I provided before the vote on H.R. 1 that says that if you normalize 3 independent estimates across a broad spectrum, $25 billion over 10 years. I don't need your response now. I want somebody to destroy my estimates, because to this point, the most resourced health agency in the world has only given me word salad responses, and I need that.
I'm trying to help
so that we can prepare for the response. $25 billion over 10 years is half of the rural relief fund over 5 years. And so we just need to have that fact as a matter of policy so that we can go in North Carolina and absorb it. And I know every state's different, and I'm assuming every one of my colleagues here have done the math for their states, not focused on that. But I want you to destroy my estimates if they're in fact wrong, and I want you to acknowledge them if in fact they're right. That will come into question as well.
Acknowledge them? What's that going to do?
Mr. Kennedy, you've stated multiple times in response to other members' questions that scientists were lying. We'll go back to the record in cases where you've said that. I'd just like to see the scientific evidence to substantiate that. I'm going to stipulate that you were honest and you had research behind it. We'll go back and figure out what scientific studies you believe are founded on lies and not scientifically viable. And then finally, I just want to give you an opportunity. Apparently in the exchange with Senator Bennett, you said you agreed with Dr. Levy's statements, who said that the mRNA vaccine caused serious harm, including death, particularly in young people. They said you agreed with that comment. Did you agree with that comment or not?
I think that's true, yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Tillis. We now have Senator Smith. You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, Mr. Kennedy, I have sat here for the last many minutes and listened carefully to your testimony. And I think actually Senator Tillis laid out so many of the ways that what you have said has contradicted yourself and others. It's, I don't even know where to start. So I'm going to start here. Over the last 8 months, you have claimed to make America healthy again. But in actual fact, you have led the charge in the Trump administration to destroy what is best in our healthcare system. And your denials and your evasion and your lies here do not change that. You are the Secretary of the Health and Human Services, yet you're trafficking in these fringe idea and discredited theories that are completely
they refuse to swear him in.
Consensus, and you seem to be willing to say anything in the moment, even if it's untrue. So last time you were before Congress, Secretary Kennedy, you claimed, and I quote, "I have never been anti-vax. I have never told the public to avoid a vaccination." But in a podcast, you said the opposite. You said there's no vaccine that is safe and effective. So that sure sounds anti-vax to me, Secretary Kennedy. So let me ask you, when were you lying, sir? When you told this committee that you were not anti-vax, or when you told Americans that there's no safe and effective vaccine?
Both things are true.
Oh, so more denial, more back and forth. I mean, here's what I know. Here's what I know.
Let me explain why, Senator. You just
actually, I want you to listen to me.
Okay, go ahead.
I want you to listen to me, because I've been listening to you. You said that ACIP is an independent panel after you stocked it with your picks. You said that you want evidence-based science, but it seems that what you mean is evidence that supports your view, not the scientific consensus. I mean, you dared to sit there and call my colleague from New Hampshire a liar when she presented you with facts that don't support your view of the world. It's incredible. But let me move on. Just last week, in the days after the tragic shooting at Annunciation Catholic School in my home state of Minnesota, you went on Fox News blaming school shootings on antidepressants. You have no evidence of that because you have no evidence of a connection. And you want to talk about...
You're just saying something. You're just making stuff up.
You know, this is what you say, right? Secretary Kennedy, when someone presents you with information that does not fit...
I did not blame that shooting. I have no idea whether... I have no idea, and I never said that. You're making it up. You're twisting. Yeah, you are.
Secretary
you are being
Kennedy,
dishonest right now.
If you want to talk about mental health and gun violence in this country... If you want to talk about mental health and gun violence in this country, we should be talking about that, because that's what the parents of Annunciation School
You don't want to talk.
want to
you want to harangue, and you want to you want to have partisan politics. I want to actually solve these problems.
Ms. Secretary Kennedy, what the Trump administration is doing right now is making it harder for people in this country to get access to mental health care. So don't talk to me about solving the mental health care crisis when you are making it harder. You cut Medicaid, which is the #1 payer for mental health care services in this country. You decimated the agency at Health and Human Services that focuses on mental health and substance abuse. That's what states count on. They're cutting their services to schools as a result of that. Several years ago, in a bipartisan way, Congress came together and passed the Safer Communities Act, which made important investments in mental health care and did some important, though small things, to reduce access to guns. What do? You propose cutting that funding. This is what we're talking about in your leadership in the Department of Health and Human Services. If you want radical transparency, as you talk about, I mean, take a look at what you are doing. And, you know, I've heard a lot about MAHA today while we've been here. There's a lot of Americans, Secretary Kennedy, who trust you, who believe what you say, especially when you say you're standing up to corruption. And I think that they need to know, you apparently have a lot of influence with President Trump. Did you ask him not to roll back these regulations that are stopping the big corporations from dumping heavy metals and endocrine disruptors into our soil and water? I mean, there's no evidence that you have been even opposing that. Did you do anything to stop the Trump administration from rolling back this handout to Big Pharma that makes it easier for the big drug companies to charge more for cancer drugs? No, you presided over that. I mean, it's stunning, really, what's happened over the last 8 months. It's stunning to me. And I just hope that in this moment, our colleagues, there's hardly anybody left in this room, are going to think about what it is that you've done, what your legacy is going to be at the Health and Human Services Agency, and pay attention to the damage that is being done here.
Senator Marshall.
All right. Thank you, Chairman, and welcome, Mr. Secretary.
What a baby. Oh, is the baby going to cry about it? Is the baby going to cry about it?
Talk about transparency. I think part of that is sharing what you know, what the CDC knows with parents so that they can make decisions. Behind me, yeah, I know it's going to be hard to see from there. I can barely read it. This is the current CDC recommendations for vaccines for children. On day number 1, they get their first jab, a hepatitis vaccine. By the time they're 18 months, they've had 18 jabs. By the time they get to be old enough to vote, they have 76 jabs. Now, when we talk, when I listen, what I hear you say is that, look, vaccines are drugs.
Or they have polio.
We need a measured response and a measured, when do we use this? It's interesting that the United States has put age 65 and older for COVID vaccine. UK has chosen 75 and France 80. Obviously, scientists disagree exactly when that should or shouldn't be. You know, hepatitis B vaccine, it makes no sense to me. I've only delivered 5,000 babies, but we do a hepatitis test on every mom. By the time she delivers that baby, I know her pretty well. And if she doesn't have any risk factors, if she's not an IV drug abuser, if she's in a stable monogamous relationship, nobody at home has hepatitis, I don't know.
Because people never lie about that stuff.
Hepatitis vaccine, everyone's eligible for it. Everyone can get it. And my pediatricians always agree with me. And no, I'm not saying if you don't know the hepatitis status of that patient, they shouldn't get it. I'm not saying if this person's had no prenatal care, that puts them at risk for hepatitis. Can you just speak a little bit, when you talk about transparency and trying to empower and make vaccines available, these should be treated just like a medication?
Yeah, I mean, You know, I say I'm not anti-vaccine. Saying I'm anti-vaccine is like saying I'm anti-medicine. Well, I'm pro-medicine, but I understand some medicines harm people. Some of them have risks. Some of them have benefits that outweigh those risks for certain populations, and the same is true with vaccines. And we don't understand the risk profile because vaccines are the only medical intervention, medical device, or pharmaceutical drug that are exempt from pre-licensing safety studies. And so there are 2 hepatitis vaccines, and one of them had a safety study that lasted for 4 days on 143 kids for a product that's going to be given to 76 million kids. Yeah. The risk profile prior to the introduction of the vaccine, the risk of a baby dying from hepatitis B was 1 in 7 million. That means you need to give 7 million hepatitis B vaccines to
so which one of the babies should die?
So,
what do you think? What do you think, RFK?
Press labels me wrong.
Which
I'm
baby?
not anti-vaccine
Your baby?
either. I think MMR's been a great vaccine. The DPT's been a great vaccine. Polio's been a great vaccine. Smallpox. So there are great, but it's the measured approach that we're after, the transparency. You're trying to empower parents here. What I feel the difference is, sometimes my friends across the aisle feel like there's a one-size-fits-all, that they should be telling parents what to do. And what you and I are fighting for is we want to empower parents to make these decisions. I want to talk about morbidity and mortality of COVID for just a second. It is so true that 2 things can be true, and I don't understand why, just the rabbit hole some of my colleagues are going down. There's a big difference. When I was out there practicing, doing volunteer work, I was so confused myself on the numbers. People dying with COVID versus from COVID. And we still don't have that message. And I think that's what I hear you saying as well. How many people died from COVID versus with COVID is a different answer. The situation today is so different.
Really?
When this monster virus
is that
was made
the
in a laboratory
question?
move on China,
Is that
and none of us had
the
ever seen
question
this
to
virus, and
ask?
we had no immunity to it. But today,
wow,
every
he's really
American's
doing
had
back bends
COVID
for this guy.
times probably, and we built up immunity. I think that's why both things are true. It was a miracle. Warp speed was a miracle. What President Trump and his team did, and it saved millions of lives most likely. But it's also true that it probably killed some people. Like most vaccines do, there is a death rate associated. So both things are true. Anything else you want to clear up on the morbidity, mortality of COVID and COVID vaccines?
Well, I think you just cleared it up. The COVID vaccine was critical. President Trump's leadership got it to us when our society was locked down. It allowed us to open up. It was, as I said, perfectly matched to a virus that was new in the experience of humanity. And so it was a miracle. Right now, we're dealing with completely different circumstances, where the virus has mutated, where it's much less dangerous, where there's a lot of natural immunity and herd immunity. And so the calculus is different, and it's complicated. And, if you just want to turn everything into a soundbite, it makes it, you can't have a grown-up conversation. But there were more reports to VAERS, which is the only surveillance system that we have, of injuries and deaths from that vaccine that all vaccines put together in history. So we have to acknowledge that there was a cause. We acknowledge that there was a benefit. We can't quantify either one because of the data chaos at CDC, and that's all I'm saying. And they think I'm being evasive because I won't make a kind of a statement that's almost religious in nature. Did it save 1 million lives? Well, there's no data to support that. There may be data, there's no study, there's modeling studies, there's faulty data. I'm not going to sign on to something if I can't do it to a scientific certainty. It doesn't mean that I'm, anti-vax.
Faulty data sounds like a feeling.
Pro-science.
Thank you. I yield back.
Thank you. Senator Lujan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Secretary Kennedy, Dr. Daskalakis, who recently resigned as director of the National Center for Immunization and Respiratory Diseases, his resignation letter stated he and his team were never allowed to brief you. I'm curious who you're listening to, since it's clear you're not listening to qualified experts like Dr. Daskalakis. Can you give the committee the name of the person?
I don't consider Dr. Daskalakis.
Mr. Secretary, the question that I have for you is, can you give the committee a name of who you're getting briefed by?
I'm getting briefed by all the time by CDC.
Just a name.
Well, Dr. William Thompson's one name.
Thank you very much, sir. Now,
but I can get you a whole list of others. It's on my schedule.
Mr. Secretary, that's not a hard question. You know a lot of answers.
I'm not being evasive.
Okay, then you answered it. Let's go on. Now, you said that you're soon going to release a study claiming to reveal the cause of autism, timed, unsurprisingly, with the upcoming ACIP meeting to justify taking vaccines from Americans. Now, as you know, autism affects millions of children, so I guess you'd have the nation's top medical experts working on this. Mr. Kennedy, you hired a man named David Geyer to conduct this study. Is that correct?
No.
Is Mr. David Geyer working for HHS?
What?
He's a contractor, but he's not conducting a study.
He's a contractor?
He's a contractor.
Do you know who works for you, Mr. Kennedy?
Yeah.
Do you know that Mr. Geyer is listed as a HHS on the employee directory as a senior data analyst, not a contractor?
He's a contractor. He's not an SGE.
So is your website wrong?
He's not an SGE. I don't know what the...
I'm going to pull up the website for you?
He's a contractor.
If the website says he is a senior data analyst, will you at least admit to the committee
well, I don't know if
wrong?
a contractor can be classified as a senior data analyst or not.
Is Mr. Geyer a doctor?
No.
Did you know he never went to medical school?
He's not practicing medicine.
Did you know that he got caught in Maryland and was charged for practicing medicine without a medical license?
He was charged by a medical board.
Ooh.
He sued the medical board, and the medical board was found to have acted in actual malice and was fined $2.6 million by a judge in Maryland for doing that.
See, so you choose to know a lot when you want to know a lot.
Ooh.
It's incredible.
Wow.
Senator, you're ridiculous.
So
no, you're
here's
pretty
the question
ridiculous. Don't eat the
you
mic.
You brought him in to do this study. I think there's no question about it.
I told you he's not doing a study.
Is he participating in the study?
No.
Is he doing any analysis in regards to this study?
No. What he's doing is getting access to the Vaccine Safety Data Link, which is the biggest repository for vaccine information that your friend would not give us for 7 months. For
Mr.
7 months.
Secretary, let me ask you this question, just because you know the answer. What is Mr. Geyer doing?
He is the only one, because Congress ordered CDC to open up the VSD to him in 2002. He's the only outsider who's ever seen it. So because CDC will not give us, they have
Mr. Secretary, is he participating in this then?
No, he is.
You just said he's the only dude that knows what's going on here.
Do you want me to explain it to you, Senator, or do you just want to show? Do you just want to showboat?
I'll submit.
You just want to showboat for your ads, or do you want to hear a real answer to your question?
Mr. Secretary, you choose to know answers to questions with some colleagues.
I'm willing to give you the answer. I'm willing to give you the answer.
Mr. Secretary, someone should have asked you, maybe President Trump should have asked you, are you a trustworthy person? And we should have waited for an answer then. Let's move on.
I don't even know what you're talking about. You're talking gibberish.
Mr. Secretary, let me speak slowly and clearly so that you can understand me through my New Mexico accent.
And then give me a chance to answer.
Does this help? Can you understand me?
Yes.
Appreciate that. Mr. Secretary, yes or no, did you hire Mr. Geyer to do this study?
No.
Mr. Chairman, well, let me ask, maybe we'll just get a good answer here. Mr. Secretary.
Ask him what he hired him to do.
Will you commit to sharing the protocols used for the autism study with Congress and to the public?
They're public.
Oh, meowing star, thank you.
Will you commit to giving it to this committee by the end of the week?
No, not because that's not the way it works.
Will you
don't even know what you're talking about.
Mr. Secretary, will you commit to sharing the protocols for this study by the end of the month?
We already have
You just said it's public.
We put out the notice of funding opportunities, and then the scientists from all over the world.
You're not understanding me. Let me
No, you're not understanding how the world works.
Do you understand what the protocols are? Do you understand what they are?
The scientists who are doing the studies submit the protocol.
Okay, so you know
That's
what
not
they
coming
are.
from us.
So will you commit to sharing those protocols with this committee?
Well, anybody can get a hold of the protocol. It's published with the study.
Mr. Chairman, what I'd like to ask is for your commitment here. I'll send a letter to the Secretary. I'll ask for support from the leadership of this committee to ask for those protocols. If those protocols are not given to this
Anybody
committee,
can get the protocols.
Mr. Secretary, I'm not talking to you. Mr. Chairman, what I'm asking...
If the protocols are public, we can work with you to...
What I'm asking, Mr. Chairman, is that if those protocols are not given to this committee, I'm asking for your agreement that we follow through with a subpoena to get them.
No, I will not agree to subpoena anything. Let's see what happens.
Mr. Chairman, you'll help me get them if they're available publicly?
Yes.
I appreciate that, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Kennedy, with all the questions here today, people just want to know the truth.
I don't think so.
Mr. Secretary, you don't think so. Thank you.
I don't think so.
I hope everyone recording that got that, because there explains the Secretary's tenure here. Look, 2 young ladies in Las Cruces, New Mexico, at a town hall recently gave me this starfish pin. I was going to give it to you today, but after your questioning today, I don't think you deserve it, because what this represents is to remember that every one of us can make a difference, sir, to something as small as a starfish on a beach that maybe got washed up, you throw it back in the ocean. You might not save them all, but you can save one. I'm sorry that you're not worthy of this nice little pin, sir, as a nice reminder. I'm going to pray for you, Secretary Kennedy. I hope we do better. I want you to do better. But today was a failure for you, man. I yield back.
Senator Warnock.
Thank you, Brother Chair. Less than a month ago, we received the heartbreaking news that a gunman opened fire at the CDC campus in Atlanta, Georgia. This obviously is my neck of the woods. This is heart-wrenching for all Americans, but for those of us especially who live in that area. A DeKalb County police officer, David Rose, was killed. The shots hit buildings on campus in at least 180 places, narrowly missing the CDC's daycare center. Law enforcement recovered nearly 500 shell casings. Clearly, he came to do a lot of damage. It's a miracle, and thanks to the quick action of Metro Atlanta and state law enforcement, more people were not killed. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation announced that prior to the attack, the gunman expressed discontent with the COVID vaccine and, quote, wanted to make the public aware of his distrust of the vaccines. Secretary Kennedy, I assume you are aware of these disturbing reports of the gunman's motives?
Yes.
And, you know, I understand that some people may have concerns about new medical breakthroughs, but those people don't have the world's top medical experts working under them. You've been over HHS for 7 months now. Have you ever been briefed by CDC's career immunization officials to discuss your concerns?
And by the way, every member of this panel has criticized President Trump and demonized him.
Have you ever
Are
been
you
briefed?
complicit in the assassination attempts on President Trump?
Sir, I'm asking the questions. You are the witness. It's a simple yes or no question. Have you ever been briefed by CDC's career immunization officials to discuss
Wait,
their
what just
concerns?
happened?
Yes, I have. What was the answer?
Yeah, the starfish.
Yes. You have been briefed by CDC
What just
officials.
happened?
The career
What did he
immunization
just say?
officials to express your...
The senior vaccine safety scientist, for example.
Have you ever been to the CDC as secretary before the shooting?
What did he
on
just
August
say?
8th?
Have I ever been there as secretary?
Have you been
No.
there as secretary before the shooting? Okay. Let's return to the shooting and the aftermath. Secretary Kennedy, I'm about to ask you a series
I
of
like how
yes or
Warnock
no
just didn't
questions
even
about the events of the past month.
acknowledge it.
And I would appreciate just a yes or no response. You called Dr. Manarez to your office on August 25th for a meeting. Is that correct? Yes or no?
It could be. I just don't know the date. I'd have to check my calendar.
Was Jim O'Neill the man you just
God,
appointed
he's so
as acting
flip.
director of CDC?
I just can't wait for his Nuremberg trial. I really can't. I want all the color to fall from his face.
Manarez, in that meeting, did you criticize Dr. Manarez for her statements to CDC following the shooting where she said, quote, misinformation can be dangerous?
I don't believe so. I have no recollection.
You don't believe you criticized her?
Oh, I criticized her.
Did you criticize
Not
her?
for that.
Did you criticize
I had to take a picture of that.
Did you criticize her for her statements to CDC workers following the shooting?
Did I what?
Did you demand that she fire career scientists or public experts at the CDC?
Yes.
Did you demand that she accept the recommendations of your hand-picked vaccine advisory panel without further review by career CDC scientists?
No, I did not.
You didn't ask for her commitment ahead of time that she would accept the recommendations from the advisory panel? You're denying
what
that?
I asked her about is she had made
Oh,
a
well, if you put it that
statement
way.
that she was going to not sign on, and I wanted clarification about that.
Did you tell her to accept the advisory panel's recommendations?
I told her I didn't
Jane
want her to
Rants.
have a rule that she's not going to sign on to it.
Did you say
Algae.
that the
He hasn't had his
CDC
algae
was,
today.
quote, the most corrupt federal agency in the history of the world?
Not the history of the world, but definitely
Did you
within
say-
HHS.
did you say that?
I did not say that, but I did say it's the most corrupt agency in HHS, and maybe the government.
So you called the
Oh
CDC
my
corrupt.
God.
Did you say that CDC staff are, quote, horrible people?
Horrible people?
Did you
Did
say
you
that
say
they're
that?
killing children and they don't care?
No.
Yes, you did.
Okay, I think that we all have a history of listening to you and these answers.
I know. I
but
wanted
you're-
to. I
you're
feel
on the
like I'm
record for a
manifesting,
number
you
of
know, for all our
these
manifesting.
Despite your lack of credentials
out
and
there.
expertise, clearly you have an agenda. It is a threat to the public health of the American people. It's clear that you are carrying out your extremist beliefs. Which
I'm
is why
already
you attempted to
pre-traumatized
fire
by that
several
woman.
We're the
minorities.
sickest
Sir,
people in the
sir,
world.
I'm not.
We're the sickest people on earth.
I'm speaking.
How am I a threat?
Secretary
Oh
Kennedy.
my God.
For the first time, we're seeing deaths from children.
Look
from
at his,
measles.
though, his
We haven't
just
seen
his
that in
whole
2 decades.
sitting
We're seeing that
posture
under
is
your watch.
gross.
You are a hazard to the health of the American people.
Can I
Hell
respond to that, Senator?
No. I claim back my time.
We need to wrap
You
up.
are a hazard to the health of the American people. I think that you ought to resign. And if you don't resign, the President of the United States, who put forward Operation Warp Speed, which worked, should fire you. Thank you so much.
Boom.
Senator Welch.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. I want to sum up, and I want to make 3 points. First,
Bingo,
we
Grace
have
Lisa.
a healthcare affordability crisis in this country. And second, Secretary Kennedy's policies is making that affordability crisis worse, not better. And third, Mr. Chairman, the United States Senate is not doing its job. Healthcare. Citizens of the United States, our employers, our taxpayers, and our families pay the most and get the least. That has been persistent and chronic, and it's not being addressed.
I
It's
just
being
love that
aggravated.
he's like
Let me be specific. In
garumphing
Vermont,
into his mic.
a family of 4 that makes $82,000 in income
I'm surprised
with
Cheryl
premium
hasn't
support
texted him.
on Obamacare now pays $6,970 for their health care premium. That is going to increase $23,000 to $30,000. That is unaffordable. It's shocking and it's cruel. The big beautiful bill that we're talking about, Vermonters are going to lose 45,000 families lose health care.
Right. Instead, we get the complete
That is going to be
opposite.
a hammer blow to our hospitals because those folks who lose health care don't get a guarantee they won't get sick, and they're going to show up at our community hospitals. Our community hospitals are going to treat them, and they aren't going to be compensated. And it's why Vermont community hospitals are on a financial thin ice, and that's true that about 338 hospitals around our country are in danger of closing. Second, Mr. Chairman, I believe the Secretary made assurances to this committee, and he has not kept the promises he made. Prices have not come down, they've gone up. He assured Senator Cassidy that he would not change the standards for vaccine review. Yet since his confirmation, all 17 members of the Vaccine Advisory Board have been fired by him. He has limited the use of COVID-19 vaccine, and he has inexplicably canceled $500 million in vaccine research and funding. So, you know, I'm not surprised. Stephen Miller credited you with being the crown jewel of the cabinet. In my observation about the crown jewel of the cabinet and the policies of folks who get rewarded are the ones
He
who
meant crown
fire
tool.
those in
Oh, wait.
service that speak
No,
truth
Stephen
to
is
power.
the crown tool.
Susan Menares, we've gone over that, fired because she refused to fire herself, staff without cause, and refused to rubber stamp changes to the vaccine schedule without data. The head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics
Oh my
was
God,
fired
Mowing Star.
because she gave a report with honest numbers about the job report. CIA Russia expert who'd been there for 30 years, fired after the meeting with Putin. So, Mr. President, that is serious and worrisome. But I want to finally end by challenging us in the United States Senate to do our job. We have a constitutional responsibility to be a check and balance. And the fear of our founders was that there would be a concentration of power in one branch, and that would lead to catastrophic consequences for our country. And what has Congress done? On oversight and advice and consent, we have confirmed a vaccine denier. On tariffs, we've given up our constitutional responsibility. On appropriations, we're bending the knee to an administration that is rescinding and decided what to spend and what not to spend, despite what our law in a bipartisan way was passed. We cannot cede power, and there are consequences. A crumbling healthcare system, a deficit exploding, and our allies losing faith in us. You know, Mr. Secretary, in the past, you have accused some of my colleagues of being in the pocket of pharma shills. You did that with Senator Warren today. You've done it in the past with Senator Bennett and Senator Sanders. You are not a pharma shill. But I believe we have to fight pharma and bring down the prices. Senator Cortez Masto spoke about the legislation that we now have that would reverse the $5 billion handout to Big Pharma in the One Big Beautiful Bill. And when I leave today with Senator Wyden, we are going to go to the floor and seek unanimous consent to pass our legislation that would reverse that giveaway. And I ask you to put your policy in your body where your mouth is and join us in supporting that bill to restore price negotiation power so those pharma prices can come down from being the highest in the world to something within range of reason. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Thank you very much. Senator Young.
Welcome to the committee, Mr. Secretary. It's my intention not to raise my voice and to give you an opportunity to respond to an inquiry.
Why, because are you mad?
Long COVID.
Wait, are you mad?
Shouldn't be surprised to you. During each of our meetings, we've discussed my interest in
This guy always looks like really hungover.
To address this challenge, which afflicts, by most recent estimates, over
like that
20
I'm
million
still drunk
Americans.
kind of hungover.
They have been
That's
diagnosed.
what he reminds
There
me
are
of.
a number of others we know that go undiagnosed. Over 400 million people worldwide suffer from this at a cost of $1 trillion a year.
But I thought COVID wasn't real.
1%
You
of
guys just can't
global
stick to a story.
GDP. This, we know, has had impacts on participation in the workforce, therefore our own GDP. So it's serious on a number of fronts. It's my hope we can come up with some therapeutics for this condition. One of the real barriers to that is seeing that we are able to launch more clinical trials. I want to get your update on how the clinical trials are going, what plans you might have in the works to increase the number of clinical trials as it pertains to long COVID.
Yeah, Senator, There was a project funded, a long COVID project.
I mean,
at
he's just a night
NIH.
owl.
There was a huge amount of money spent on it. It yielded nothing.
I agree with that.
Right. And I think you know that we are doing now a different approach. We're launching a long COVID consortium. We're bringing together the best doctors in the country who have developed reputations for being able to treat long COVID. And one of them is a doctor that actually...
Dr. Bruce Patterson.
Yeah, Bruce Patterson, and then Dr. Jordan Vaughn, also from Florida. There's a number of them who are doing spectacular things where patients are reporting extraordinary progress. We want to get them all involved, all in one room. We want to identify the protocols that are working. This is something that did not happen during COVID. It was all ivory tower science, and the doctors who are on the ground were ignored. The same thing happened during the HIV crisis.
Yes.
And we're trying to do something different, which
So
is
my
really
time's limited. You mentioned ivory tower. And so that's a segue into a statistic that I've become familiar with over the years. It takes roughly 18 years for proven interventions, pharmacological or other types of medical interventions, to make their way out into the field. If we assume, I think a conservative estimate, 12 to 15 years until we have any really acceptable therapeutics for a long COVID, that's a cheerful estimate. Plus the 18 years until it finds its way into clinical practice, people roughly my age will pass. Actuarially speaking, they will pass before there's any acceptable therapeutics. So we need to accelerate our current activities. Can you give me a couple of things you're going to do to ensure that we accelerate our development of therapeutics?
I can't even do that.
The best solution is the same kind of solutions that we should have been pursuing during COVID, which is off-the-shelf approved drugs.
And not jalapeno poppers.
That are there already.
Yes.
So you don't
and
have
it was
to go
recently
through
reported that all the major pharma companies, I'm sorry if there's one good student exception, are serving as barriers to clinical trials. How can they repurpose?
He is.
That's happening.
Okay, you're the Secretary of HHS.
He runs
Will
a
you
Subway
be cracking down on
franchise.
this lack of cooperation? Thank you.
So yeah, qualified.
Thank you so much. Will you also
Of
be
course,
exploring
RFK, totally,
research
exactly.
partnerships with other countries, seeing as I've established this is a global challenge?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's what we should have done during HIV. It's what we should have done during COVID.
Yes. Will you also be exploring whether ARPA-H, which has different research
that sounds great, Lee. I'm so glad it's going
is
well.
very good at what they do.
Aww,
but it takes them a really long time to prove things because of their rigorous process. ARPA is more practical, right? And so one could imagine ARPA-H tackling this challenge. Will you be encouraging
We're absolutely open to that, Senator.
Okay. Will you be working with me and other members
ARPA
of the
in his
committee
state?
on your aggressive strategy
exactly.
as it
Come on.
continues
Yeah,
to
and
be
looking for
It's hard to run a
ideas
Subway.
everywhere.
Okay. The
I
last
mean,
thing
it
I'd
is
like to
hard, probably.
briefly touch
I'm
on with
not
the
even
chairman's
joking about that.
indulgence is just recognizing the
I
president's
think that's what he
leadership
does.
as it
Or a
relates
Planet
to,
Fitness. He could run a Planet
the
Fitness
appropriate
too.
use of civil commitment to
In
deal
fact, I
with
think he's more the
homelessness
Planet Fitness
challenges,
guy
mental
now that I'm
health
really looking at
challenges,
him.
et cetera. He's taking a look at these
Pretty sure he owns a
practices. It's
gym
gonna be a difficult
franchise.
conversation for so many of us, but
24-hour
I think it is
fitness.
worth considering whether government can play a more assertive role
I don't know.
in helping
I'm
people
making stuff up.
off the streets who have serious mental illness get off the streets, receive the sort of treatment they really need.
Camps. Where's Max?
To be healthy. Can you provide
Sending
some very
people to
brief
camps.
thoughts on this topic, and maybe then I could follow up with a phone call
On the topic of
civil commitment.
Civil commitment.
We can follow up,
It's
Mr.
mainly
Secretary.
happening in the States, so I want to hear your ideas on it if there's something that you think.
Yeah, I think the president said, we ought to take a look at it. If there's somebody in 20-degree below zero temperatures consistently in Washington, D.C., and they're believed to perhaps have mental health challenges. Might we consider how to offer them care and in
and you know,
in a controlled setting rather than allowing them to freeze to death? Might that be humane as we reconsider our application of our laws?
Follow up on that with
Yeah.
you.
All right.
And
Oh,
Mr. Secretary,
man.
you've been here just like a minute or so under 3 hours. We appreciate that. We're not quite done yet.
Uh-oh.
Senator Wyden has asked for one more round, so I said he, as the ranking member, should have the right to have one more round of 5 minutes for himself. And so, Senator Wyden, why don't you go ahead?
Mr. Secretary, we'll keep this brief. I want to ask about mifepristone. I was the first member of Congress to hold a hearing on this drug, which now has served more than 7.5 million women. And of course, it is used for reproductive health and medication abortion. It has been documented again and again as safe, and people say safer than Tylenol. And the reason that I'm asking the question is that I'm getting reports that you've said you're going to conduct a complete review of mifepristone's safety. And what we're hearing is it's not based on new clinical trials or data from the scientific community, but on one reviewed paper that's not a peer-reviewed paper by a political organization and Project 2025 sponsor whose stated mission is to advance an anti-abortion agenda. So what I'd like to hear today is for you to say that you'll commit that your best scientists, without bias, will be permitted to conduct this entirely unnecessary safety review. I don't see any evidence for it. You've called for it. But what I'd like to do is make sure that it's done right, and I'm very troubled by what I've heard about it. Your thoughts?
You have my commitment.
Okay.
Sure, whatever.
Good
That's what he
science
says.
and good scientists.
Okay. We'll get back to you to talk about
Wellness
specifically how
farms. Yes,
gonna
that's
play
right.
out, but I appreciate that. Okay, one last point for you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to ask unanimous
I'm telling you,
to enter into the record
everything old is new again,
by these
Meowing
kids,
Star.
you know, some of them very young, who in the middle of the night, we were told by whistleblowers, are being whisked away and the like. And what I'd like to enter into the record are statements by these kids that we have learned about, and also a memo prepared by the Guatemalan government outlining the deportation effort into the record. We've been able to obtain that, and I think it's an important part of the debate. And with that,
What about Samoa? Has anybody asked Samoan officials
without
to testify about his?
Thank you very much, Senator
I guess it
Wyden.
doesn't-
And we are
I guess-
now at the point where I'll just make a couple of very brief.
I don't even care what you have to say, crapo. You full of crapo. Oh my God. Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot. They're trying to kill us, yes. So I had a ton of things that I wanted to go over with you to read, but of course, here we go. We're 3.5 hours in already on today. So I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to schedule another wake and bake, perhaps for tomorrow morning. And I don't think there's anything necessarily, I say that with great caution, live happening tomorrow morning that would take our attention away, because there are a ton of things that I've collected for us to read about a variety of topics, including all the wonderful links that Gal has shared. And I really think that we need to spend a little time this week just, you can kick back and relax, and I'll read to you. So I think plan for, if you're available, I would love to see your bright, shining handle. That didn't come out the way I intended it to sound like. But time for the day job. But I think that I would love to spend some time, perhaps tomorrow morning, going over some really great pieces that I've pulled over the last couple days and that people have shared, and so that we can read through, just kind of get caught up with each other, and perhaps provide some background for your day, your Friday. Also, speaking of vaccines, Bobo and I are going to attempt. I guess we had made an appointment, so I guess that's part of it. But we're going to get our booster tomorrow, late afternoon. So I might be a little. Well, I'll have to figure out the whole movie thing. I actually might start the movie a little earlier. I don't know. I'll have to think about that. So that I can, because I made this appointment for the stupidest time ever, or I'll just change the appointment. But anyways, point is, tomorrow night, movies at the Discord. It's Friday night, y'all. I think I have a movie. Max and I were talking about some movies. And also, if you haven't joined our Discord, I would definitely do that. I believe you can. I don't think there's a link in my bio, but you can find. We'll figure it out. I'll put a link to the Discord in my socials. But yeah. So yeah, thank you so much for spending some time with me this morning. And onward and upward we go. Lee, have a good day at work. Everyone have a good day if you have to work. If you don't, have a good day if you don't have to work. MAGA influencers are trying to rid Hitler's. Oh my God. Oh, wonderful. Thank you, Max. I'll add that to the curation for tomorrow morning. So hopefully join me tomorrow morning for Wake and Bake with Lolo, a special Friday edition where we read. I'll read to you. And we'll go from there. All right. Thank you so much. Have a great day. And I will talk to you all very soon. Be well. And take a deep breath. Everybody dies. Okay? I'm just going to tell you that. Everybody dies. It does happen. And that's just the way life is. I'm not trying to be emotional about it. I'm just telling you that even people like RFK Jr. will eventually pass. Thank you. All right. Have a good day. I love you guys. Take care.